Hey there, kids. It's time to sit because Battleground Casual is on. Here's Aaron or Matt.
It is me, no Matt, this week, although he does send his regards. I was actually just talking to him. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Aaron Knoll. Welcome back to Battleground Casual. We gave last week a miss very simply because we didn't plan a show in time. That's what happens when you do a podcast, but you don't get paid to do it. I am joined by TMG and Movie Battleground's own Mr. Jake Tato. And since this is live, we can actually give an update in real time. Jake, you did something very, very important this week for Movie Battleground. What was that?
We actually recorded a match.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Recording is off the ground for Movie Battleground. We are back. Jake and I are currently coordinating on when uploads will begin. For those curious, we are going to finish the tournament that we started recording when the show went on hiatus. Most of it was actually recorded. There was just a lot of footage that never got released. So that falls back onto me. I'm in the process of currently editing all of that and making sure it is good to go. And then at some point in the near future, we are going to start with re-uploading or re-premiering, so to speak, the matches that are already out there just to sort of refresh people on what had happened. And then we'll begin uploading the stuff that was already recorded. And then we will begin uploading the new stuff. And of course, if you are looking to get back into Movie Battleground, Jake is the person that you reach out through, either through our Facebook page on one of the posts he put up or through the DMs. And he will coordinate that with you as we are going to begin recording more actively soon to continue the momentum that we have. And again, I can't state enough, I'm super excited. One match in, and interesting and exciting is the word I would use already. Jake, you were physically there. I wasn't. How'd it go?
Oh, it was an absolute banger. As great friends play each other, things can heat up. Anyone who knows these players well will come to find out things can get pretty froggy, but everyone still loves each other at the end, I promise.
Yeah, we're keeping it tight. We're keeping it close to the chest here because obviously it's not known who made it that far in the tournament, but just assume who could make it that far in the tournament, and you know what's coming. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and bring in our panel. I'll start with the one who's been on this show already. Returning with us, we have Mr. JPO, Jordan Owens. How's it going, man?
Is Matt ever on the show, or did he just hate me and avoid me? Because I don't feel like I've ever done this with Matt.
Soon. The answer is soon. He has been on episodes, but
okay,
it's we're still trying to figure out the best time. Basically, I mean, if you want the behind-the-scenes info, he has a pending hour change coming up at. Yeah, he has a pending hour change coming up at his job that will make him more available for this. We just started doing it ahead of when that actually goes through. So,
and I'll be eating some.
Hang out with you guys.
Wait, where is it? Pixar gummies. All right.
All right. Well, Jordan gets by. Let's go ahead and bring in a man who knows a thing or two about. I'm totally lying. I don't know if Alan's done drugs. Dr. Spaceman, Alan Shepard is here.
Bruh, I am so glad to hear all the Battlegrounds is coming back. I got me some much love. I got into this whole community based on the Battlegrounds, and I love me some Battlegrounds, and this is so exciting, so much fun. I've battled them all, and I've lost to most, and I can't wait to get back into it and do it again, because, you know, that's the way it is. And Aaron, yes, I have done some drugs. I've been a long time clean and sober, but, you know, I can tell you all about, we'll do a podcast about my ayahuasca trips back in the day at a later date. Oh, yes. Talk about seeing, you know, gummies, bro. Those gummies got nothing on some of the stuff I've done. All right, but I like gummies.
Mrs. Incredible's kissing each other.
Hey. Yeah. That's usually what happens. All right. I'm just glad to be here. This is great.
And also joining us, Mr. Chris Diaz. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, everybody else. Happy to be back to be talking Battleground Casual with you guys. Happy Battleground is bad. Let's go. Let's have fun with this conversation.
Absolutely, guys. So for the moment, we are going to forego the news segment that we've done at the top of the show here to get into the main discussion tonight, which is going to be centered around movies from 2024. Now, you may be asking, guys, it is fucking March. Why? And the simple answer is because I wanted to.
Oh,
There we go.
That's all we
No.
need. That's all we need.
That's why I started
So,
and stopped drinking. Wanted to.
I have no comment for my own sake there. No. So here's the reason we're doing this. On the other show that I do on the channel, The Rundown, a couple of weeks ago, we did 4 episodes leading up to the Oscars that were centered around the best and worst films of 2024. Shout out to Austin Howell and Tyler Franklin, my 2 guests for those episodes. Obviously, they're not here with us, but they discussed a ton of films from 2024 on those 2 episodes. And so in the past, what I've done when I've done, stuff like that for the podcast is I've also done an episode where we just talk about the rest, because there are so many films that release in any given year that don't get discussed because they're not the best or the worst. And sometimes just because something's not the best or the worst doesn't mean that there's not merit to it, but it also doesn't mean that it isn't somebody else's favorite or somebody else's worst. I mean, I have 4 guys here who did not do those 2 episodes with us. And even in those 2 episodes, we had diversifying opinions. I mean, maybe controversially so, thanks to both of my guests, because I did not see the movie. Robert Zemeckis' here made both a worst and a best list. So everyone has different opinions. And so I think talking about the movies that kind of may not hit that range for me, but could for somebody else, is fun. And it also puts some light on some of the films out there that we may not naturally get to otherwise. So with all that out of the way, guys, should we jump into it?
Yeah.
Oi.
All right.
I just
So
want to step into it. I don't want to jump.
Oh, that's fair. It is. Yeah, that's fair. You're already lying. Are you lying down, or is that just your camera angle? I can't tell.
I'm like sitting up, almost laying down. I have
Okay.
a fancy bed.
Okay, I was gonna say your camera angle is like genuinely, your camera angle is awesome. That like you're so center frame, but like clearly comfortable. I think it's great.
It's quite
I'm
nice.
sitting in a desk chair that's like slowly needing to be replaced. All right. So with that said, let's jump into the films here, and we're gonna start with these really are the middle of the road for me. So on the episode, I said, because we did 22 worst over 2 episodes, I had a couple of films that I gave a 5.5 out of 10 to. For me, a 5.5 symbolizes something that I'm kind of 50-50 on, but I guess I enjoyed it more than I hated it. The film of this set that I chose to put on the worst of the year list was Ricky Stenicki, but the ones that escaped being mentioned in that video are Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, Lisa Frankenstein, and Roadhouse. So, Tato, I'll start this one with you. Do any of these films stand out to you? Were there any of these films that you had any feelings on if you saw them?
Roadhouse is the one that I saw, so I'll go on that. I enjoyed it well enough. The fucking Connor of it all aside, fucking a person who I was a big fan of, and upon recent events, I'm no longer a big fan of. It's unfortunate. Yeah. Without that, the performance was still good from him, separating the art from the artist. He played his role very well. We saw maybe 50 seconds too much Connor ass in the movie. Like I could have done with 10 seconds of Connor ass instead of 2 minutes of Connor ass. Jake Gyllenhaal is very good in it. The original is worlds better, of course. I think that goes without saying. Maybe it doesn't. We'll see what happens here. But yeah, no, Jake Gyllenhaal, very good performance, a solid remake, a very fun movie. Like if you go into the movie knowing what, like if your expectations are what they should be for the movie, you're gonna have a fun time with the movie. So I think I ended up, let's see, take a quick peek at where did my star rating end up. Got to check. I did give it 3 stars. So would fall into that 6-star kind of range, probably 6.5, maybe.
Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts on Roadhouse, or who wants to pick it up next if you want to go to a different film?
I do think it's the best of these 3. I had a lot of fun with Roadhouse personally. Actually, it's in like my top 30. I dug it. That was a lot of fun.
I was saying
it's League's better about the original, man. Come on, the original is like pulpy fun. This is so much better.
I have to agree with Tato. The original is way better. This movie,
You're old.
I wanted it to be dumber. I wanted it to be more crazy. And that was the big problem. Is there was a lot of boring moments. I didn't care about the relationship with the girl and her dad and all that bullshit. I wanted to be more stupid. When McGregor was on, it was stupid. And the great thing I loved about it, he used his own voice, but it still sounded like he had a bad fake accent. It was amazing. I wanted to be more dumb,
ass.
just way more dumb.
You're also wrong on that. More ass, not less ass.
I'm agreed. Less ass.
Scene, every fight scene, he should have been randomly naked. Every fight scene.
Yeah, I
never put on clothes.
Maybe.
I'm the opinion. I liked the movie when it wasn't with Conor McGregor. I think Conor McGregor turned into too Looney Tunes at time with his performance.
What do you want in a villain, though? You wanted a serious villain?
Like he had too many villain problems.
Yeah, but you're not going to believe Billy Magnuson's going to be the power, though. Like, Connor comes in as the brute force. Like, I don't know. I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jake Gyllenhaal is the best thing about it. I think he brings the charisma, the funny moments, the serious moments really well. I might be down for a sequel based on the ending, but just like I'm okay with it being one off. I have a 3.5 star, but I keep it 3.5 star Letterboxd.
Yeah, and as real quick, Ghostbusters was a bit of a disappointment. I thought the last one was great. This one, you could just tell, was helmed by a different director and just too many cooks in the kitchen, too many excess characters. Bill Murray's literally there just so they could put him in the trailer. Like, he's so unnecessary in this movie. Yeah, it was fine, but it's unfortunately not as good as what it could have been.
See, I don't even think that Gil Kennan is the problem with Ghostbusters. I just think him and like, funny enough, I saw the movie with my brother, and I think he actually like audibly personified my feelings on the film the best, where he says it felt like they tried to follow up the movie with like a 6-episode Disney Plus series and then got told, hey, it's actually going to be a 2-hour movie instead. And so they kind of did the inverse, because like Disney Plus specifically has sort of been criticized for having TV shows that feel like movies that are just kind of stretched out to seem like a TV show. And this is kind of the opposite, where it feels like a show that's just been condensed to try and fit this movie. So it's just plot points and no character. And I think that's a problem. At least to me, it's a problem, because the one thing I think the last film did really well was it did a great job at establishing these kids as characters. I mean, I would say the only character in the first one who came out of it feeling a little underserved was probably Finn Wolfhard's love interest. And I mean,
got even less served this one. He fucks around with the whatever for like 2 scenes.
You would forget that some of these characters are even in this movie. They go so long without being on screen because there's just so much that's happening in this one movie. And that's why I was kind of saying, like, it felt like it had less finesse. Like, Jason Reitman wasn't going to let the last film go over the top. I feel, unfortunately, Gil just took everything from the script, let it happen. Maybe the studio interfered. I don't know. They're like, more side characters. Like, I mean, you still got podcasts. You got the other girl that works at the place. You got the other British guy that works at the place who disappears for like 20 minutes. Like, so many side people.
Yeah. And the best 2 characters that come out of it are Dan Aykroyd and Kumail Nanjiani. They were the more entertaining characters in the movie.
Kumail, Dan, throwing a little Patton Oswalt. The Paul Rudd arc doesn't really finish either, like with him and the daughter. Like, you know, the last thing with them was a joke.
I feel like you could have taken the British guy, James Acaster. You could have taken him, and you could have probably taken Patton Oswalt as well, and just given their roles to any of the Ghostbusters alumni. Or and maybe it's because
Or
I
give
don't have this.
podcasts more to do, or like you already
Or
had
give
like a funny
You
podcasts
could
more.
get their
sci-fi.
relationships established with podcast
Well,
and
'cause
the girl and the brother and his
Yeah.
yeah,
girlfriend.
like you're just you like I don't think the bones of the movie itself are bad. Like I don't think
No,
any of the
it's
ideas presented are bad, but it just
right.
there's so much going on, and you
Well, that's why,
need
like, I
different.
agree with you being this. This is a good example of middle of the road. Like, it's watchable. It's fun.
Yeah,
It's just not
and I
like
still
that
see a
next
third
level
one.
movie that I think you kind of wanted. Yeah, yeah. I'll hang out with
I
these kids
did.
again. Sure.
I didn't even finish the movie. It's whatever streaming one it's
It's
on.
not watchable.
Um, I got about 40 minutes actually. Ironically, you're talking about feeling like a TV show. I always give the series the first episode, and then if it maintains my interest, but this one
I'll
didn't.
let
I
you down
just
at episode 3.
yeah. I just went, I just don't care. Yeah, I didn't care about anything that was happening, and it felt like whereas in Afterlife the nostalgia worked, this one just felt like it was just, hey, it worked last time, let's just throw a bunch more in, and it didn't work this time. I didn't care. I didn't care at all.
Yeah, I don't know if we're talking about it later, but this and Beetlejuice, I think, had the same problems.
Exactly right. Bingo.
We
That
will save
Beetlejuice
that as
and
we'll
the
get
one
to
or two.
Beetlejuice later.
Yeah.
We'll get to that one. I did like that one definitively more. We'll get to that later. Any more thoughts on these three films before we jump on to the next one?
I liked Lisa Frankenstein a lot. I enjoyed it for what it was. It reminded me of a less cynical Heathers. Yeah, a way less cynical Heathers. I really enjoyed it, and I love that girl, and I can never remember her name, but the lead of it, whatever her
Is it
name is.
Noon? Or something else?
Yeah,
I
Catherine Newton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Newton. I
She
really
had a
like
good
her.
year.
For some reason, she's really captivating. Yeah, she had a great year, and everything I've seen her in, I like. So I enjoyed that movie for what it was.
It was my least favorite of these three. That's why me and you, Alec, never date.
That's all right. We can still hold hands.
There you
Lisa
go.
Frankenstein on the free movie I skipped this year, so I have not seen Lisa Frankenstein.
Damn. And you saw a lot.
I honestly, my biggest problem with Lisa Frankenstein, and frankly, because obviously it's most compared to Jennifer's Body, because it's also written by Diablo Cody.
Diablo Cody, yeah.
I don't think I think Diablo Cody's a good writer. I've liked other scripts by her, and I like a lot in both of those films, at least for my own taste. I don't think Diablo Cody actually balances the humor and the horror all that well. So tonally, the movie kind of feels all over the place, and it just pulls me out of it too much. That said, I actually really liked Zelda Williams' direction. I thought she did a great job at getting good performances out of everyone. So I look forward to seeing her next movie, because she's already said it's an idea that she's written herself. It's not a Diablo Cody script. So I'm curious to see, like, okay, now what is she? She's going to try her hand at writing. What is that like?
Cool.
Because yeah, I'm always curious to see new directors try things out. And unlike most of the internet, I don't really care who their parents are. So, all right. So then we'll move on from these three, and we'll move on to the films that I gave a 6 out of 10 to. And ironically enough, depending on where your interest in behind-the-scenes drama and a strong hatred for big blockbusters stands, most of the controversial films from this year, I frankly found to be just fine. For a 6 out of 10, and by the way, these aren't necessarily the order in which I ranked them. I labeled them all alphabetically, but they are a 6 out of 10. Argyle, The Instigators, It Ends With Us, The Killer, Megalopolis, and Red One. JPL, I'll start with you on this one. Which one of these films do you want to jump to first?
I mean, I do want to say in general, I wish these wrestlers had better years, because yeah, Red One with The Rock, Argyle with John Cena, yeah, they're both pretty middle-ish of the road here. I'd probably say Red One probably even a little bit better. I don't know. I didn't see Megalopolis or The Killer because based on some of the reviews, I actually thought It Ends With Us really actually worked for me though, personally here. I don't know. I know it had controversy afterwards, but I just saw it before any of that even surfaced. I thought it worked. I thought it had a good story. I thought she was actually really good in it too. And there's a scene with her and the sister, played by Jenny Slate, that I thought was really like kind of like beautifully done. And did I cry in the theater? I don't know. You had to be there to find out.
Yeah,
Nice.
I this one for me is another one where like tonally there's an issue with the film that sort of pulls me out because there's large chunks of it that feel like they're leaning way too hard into the rom-com thing, and that's obviously what they used for the marketing of the film. And then to Justin Baldoni's credit, when the abuse starts, it takes it deadly seriously and it doesn't pull punches. And I don't want to spoil what it is in case there's someone out there who does still want to actually watch the movie for the movie. But there's a camera choice that he makes when the abuse is happening that sort of leads to a bit of a revelation later on in the film, and or more of a clarification, I would say, on what is happening in these events that I think artistically he does a great job with as director. It just, again, it's there was a tonal imbalance that never quite nailed for me with this one. Um,
I will
and
say for me, I'm going to
I've
disagree.
never,
I'm going to agree and disagree with the romantic part, because to me, I think that was kind of the point, is to show like an organic, really nice, version of what you wanted to see, and then what it turned out to be later on, whether it was necessarily always there or just got worse later on. Like, I think you're supposed to relatively fall for him in a romantic way, and then it ends up changing.
I won't disagree with you. I just don't think it worked for me.
I don't know.
I won't disagree with you with the intent being purposeful. Also, I've just never thought Blake Lively's a good actress. Like that to me is kind of the, I don't know, funny's not the right word because none of what's been alleged is funny, but like the fact that this is all centered around a director who, to be fair, I think Justin Baldoni's getting better, but like I think he's just kind of an okay director. And Blake Lively's never really been a great actress to me. She's had, two or three movies here or there where I think she has scenes where I think she stands out, and she has scenes in this where I think she stands out very positively. But even like my sister's 17 years old, she's watching Gossip Girl for the first time, and like I'll walk through the living room and like watch a scene or two, and just like Blake Lively, just her delivery is so flat compared to even her co-stars on that show. Like just something
You're also
about her
going
never
back
really.
a few years, to be fair, too. Like, you're judging a 20, 15 Blake with the 2025 Blake.
Oh, it's older than that. But I mean, overall, I've
I
never
don't
been a
have
big.
a large sample pool. My sample pool, though, is pretty good. The Shallows, A Simple Favor, and this. I think she's solid in all three. And I don't really even know if I have much more than like that and Green Lantern.
That might be her best work.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a Gossip Girl or
No,
anything
no.
else. So I can't even think of a bad example outside of Green Lantern, which is not her fault.
All right. Anyone else? Alan, I'll go to you. Did you want to hop in on one of these films?
Um, I liked the first about 20 to 30 minutes of Red One, and I wanted to like that more because I actually watched them film the scene where they're on the beach because that's where I used to
Oh,
work.
yeah?
It was right there. Yeah, I watched them
Did you
film
mean
that
Nick
scene. Got to
Kroll?
talk to The Rock. Um, so I wanted it to be great, but it again just got. And I liked the gimmick of it. Um, but it just got to be, I don't know, there's just, it felt like it didn't live up to the promise of what it started. All these cool, Santa-esque Christmas time, you go through toy stores and it warps you to other parts of the world, and they just didn't, I don't know, they didn't pay it off well. So I was just kind of annoyed with it. It got old. It felt like it's getting old. And I couldn't even tell you what happens at the end. I completely forgot what happens at the end of that movie, and I went,
Good
yeah,
guys win. Credits.
yeah, everything is happy. Yeah, I just didn't. I wanted to like it because I also
I,
thought some of the special effects were cool, but yeah,
I hate to say it, but The Rock has become like the king of the 3-star movie. Like, they're all like
yeah,
Rampage, San
honestly,
Andreas, this, Jungle
yeah,
Cruise. Like, they're all just fine, and fuck, do I want him to do better?
yeah, honestly, yeah. I want him to do better. I want
I
it
do.
to look like he cares. It doesn't look like he's. he just looks like he's sleepwalking through everything. He's much more charismatic when you're just talking to him than he is in these movies. He's much more interesting, and you talk about stuff that he loves, and he's all animated and excited, and then you watch him in these movies, you go, oh, okay, well, man, that's him doing his thing. Great.
I was busy peeing in bottles, so. Anyway.
I haven't seen all of Red One.
Did you get to witness, for lack of a better term, The Rock's rock?
Any peeing in the bottles?
I did not see The Rock's rock.
Did you hand him any empty water bottles, like for you later, Dwayne?
Hey, yeah, this is for you, buddy.
I got you.
No.
I'm
I
sure
got
he would have
you.
taken that really well.
But he did film this around the same time that for the live action Moana, when he made that announcement, and his daughters are at we call it a secret island. And it's not an island, and it's not a secret, but his daughters were in the sand playing with shells, and I'm the one who put the shells, because those shells don't appear on that part of the beach. So I was the one to put the shells out there for him to find.
Fuck yeah.
Hey,
I hate you.
That's actually a cool behind the scenes detail. That's dope.
Yeah, it was, cute little thing. But yeah, it was, I think there needs to be another big Christmas hit film. But I think it needs to go. I think it needs to go the way of a family comedy. It doesn't have to necessarily be raunchy, but the big special effects ones aren't hit.
It was a pretty good one last year, but Carry On was a really good Christmas action movie.
Yeah, I wanted to see that. Actually, I think you guys were talking about that, or maybe Chris, you brought that up. I do want to see that.
I didn't even I've seen it. Like, I don't think it's not really a Christmas movie. That's very much like a slide background thing, dude.
Like Die Hard, same thing with Die Hard. It kind of takes place at Christmas.
Sure, but I'm just saying that's not going to be. And I'm definitely a guy that's like Die Hard is the best Christmas movie ever. But I'm just saying, like, I don't think that's going to become like a staple for families, which is what I think Alan's saying.
That's true.
With Red One.
Sorry.
No, I was with Red One, which, funny enough, so I'm one of the 10 people out there who have actually watched Disney Plus's Santa Claus show that they brought back with Tim Allen.
Oh yeah, we watched that too. We watched it.
I watched the David Krumholtz clips.
I think the show is cute. Like I think it's cute for what it is.
It is. It is.
Red One, like the world building in Red One is actually really interesting, and like what they set up is more intriguing than the movie it's in. Red One needs that type of treatment. Like honestly, the screenplay wasn't half bad, so maybe you can keep the writers, but I need a different everything else. Like Jake Kasdan felt like he was making a boring Jumanji spinoff. The Rock and Evans were just playing themselves. No one else really had the room to shine. Like, even if they were good actors, they didn't. I mean, I know you made like the beach scene. Nick Kroll might deliver the most intriguing performance in this.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
By way of being just a weird bit character. Like, most of this movie is very boring. But it's like, to me, it's like, in the same way that I don't think a bad MCU film is quite nearly as bad as people make them out to be, because I watch like really, really bad movies. Red One's like a bad MCU film to me. Like, it's humor that's not quite hitting, performances that feel a little stale, ideas that are cool. They're just not executed well. Anyone else, Tato, Diaz, one of you guys want to jump in? Is there a movie you want to talk about before we move on?
I mean, you had two on my wish list, Megalopolis and Argyle. I really did not like either one of them. Like, Argyle, I felt like it.
I was going to say, pick one if you want to focus on, and then if Tato wants to do the other, he can pick his own.
I didn't see any of these for what it's worth, so.
All right. Which one do you want to go to, Chris?
I don't go with the bigger disappointment because the director, Megalopolis. Man, I have friends of vocabulary. Came back and made one of the worst movies last year. Like, it's boring, it's floppy, it's bizarre in all the wrong ways. Shia LaBeouf, what the fuck you were doing in the movie? And John Voight, same thing. Like, Aubrey Plaza is the only one redeeming thing about the movie that she is kind of entertaining her role. but it's just everything else, and even the audience seems for like, what the fuck am I watching? Like this is like mind-boggling movie I've seen the past year. We had great cast, but wasted every one of them.
I want to see this just because I've heard all those things that Diaz was you were just saying. But I'll wait definitely until obviously. Is it streaming anywhere now?
No, so it
It's not.
actually was available for rental, and it was pulled from distribution.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so right now through legal means, it is not available for purchase or viewing anywhere in the world, I believe.
Oh, now I definitely want to watch it.
I know it's weird that my intrigue has gone up.
Right?
Someone say Kira was here.
Yeah, gonna have to archive that shit.
I'm not gonna disagree that there's a lot wrong with the film, but I can't hate it more so for like sentimentality reasons, and part of it may have just been like this. So I saw it at an early screening. I don't know if you did as well, but I saw it in an early screening that came with a Q&A that for the most part was absolutely useless. It was basically just Coppola, Robert De Niro, and Spike Lee at the New York Film Festival like dicking around on stage. There was nothing of note in the Q&A. But at the end of it, like Coppola was basically asked, like, what does the film mean to you? And it was really inspiring, you know, and again, not that I want to bring politics into the show at all, whether you agree or disagree with Coppola's personal politics. It was just really inspiring to see somebody of his age who truly is rich enough that he could just check the fuck out and not care anymore, feel motivated by something and feel motivated to want to spread a message. And specifically, like, because, you know, I'm sure we all saw the headline that went around where he was asked a question and was quoted on like, well, I wanted people who were canceled in my film for, and it was like quoted really weirdly. And he clarified that quote at this Q&A where he was like, it's not about being canceled. It's, I wanted to make a film about people trying to persevere into the future on a set with both crew and cast members, all of whom come from diversified backgrounds and specifically come from diversified political perspectives. He's like, because I wanted it to be a way to show that even if none of us agree with each other, you know, and obviously some of those actors in the film, right? Like John Voight, very openly Republic. I'm sure some of the younger actors on set, you know, like the first one that comes to mind is Aubrey Plaza. I'm sure she doesn't agree with him on very much politically at all, right? But it's about coming together and making a movie and showing that even if we don't agree on certain things, the world still has to move and we have to come to compromise and we have to come to a way to work with each other. And by the way, at least the way that he spoke at this thing, Coppola presents to me as very openly democratic. So you would think having someone like John Voight on his set would be a no-no. But that's the point of what he wanted to do with the production of the film. And honestly, I was very moved by his words. And then watching the movie, yes, it's a mess. Yes, it's not good. Yes, it's got crap CGI all over the place. And it's got weird performances that are like intentionally weird.
One line in the movie,
yes,
that is like,
Shia LaBeouf fucks Aubrey Plaza, who plays his aunt by way of marriage, and he calls her auntie while he fucks her. And there's a whole thing with an 18-year-old.
Even more intrigued.
Like,
right?
There's a
then John Voight, one line in the movie, I won't say on here, but I'm like, what the
like, yes, there's a whole
Say it.
It's dedicated to an 18-year-old's virginity, and then Adam Driver gets like high in a club, and like, yes, I get it. It's not technically a good film, but like the movie portrays his message well. And I'm kind of just like, I don't have the ability to hate something that somebody put that much of their own, first off, literal money into. I mean, the man sold assets to fund the film. To put that much of his own heart, to put that much of his own soul, to put that much of his own passion into something, even if it's completely misguided as a film in and of itself, I just don't have the ability to hate it. And honestly, I kind of walked out of the movie going, yeah, there's a lot wrong with it. But you know what? I'm I'm kind of happy he got to make it because it felt like something was really kind of sitting on his mind and sparing on his soul. And he got to get it out, and I got to watch it. And I just can't hate it for that. And that said, in the bad, like the reason it gets a 6 out of 10 and not a 5 is because even in the bad, there's still a lot of bad that's really entertaining in this movie. And there is also some legitimately good in this movie. Like, say what you will about the weirdness of everything he's doing. Shia LaBeouf is actually very good in this. Giancarlo Esposito is very good for the little, the portion of the movie that he's in. Adam Driver, a little stilted maybe, but that seems intentional. I think overall his performance is good. Lawrence Fishburne is still giving a good performance. Like, there are elements of this film that work. There's a lot about it that doesn't. But I just, like, I don't have the ability to hate something that has much more passion put into it than I would say most of what Hollywood makes. And the fact that he even tried, knowing that he did not have the means to pull this off, I just have to respect it more than anything. So I totally understand. Like, I'm not going to sit here and disagree with you, Chris. It's not good in many, many ways. I just don't hate it. Like, I can't bring myself to hate it because of what it is. And the fact that, like, clearly this meant a lot to him to get to do.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's like fucking probably pushing 90 by this point. I'm just happy to see these guys be happy. Like, when I think it's okay to, like, when you reach a certain point in your life, if you're a legend of Hollywood, just do what you want. Like, as long as someone's okay with knowing they're not going to make the money back on it, do what you want, man. So, like, Barry Levinson putting Alto Nights out in theaters this weekend being, his passion project, and David Zaslav's passion project. Is it going to make money? Fuck no, man. But De Niro's acting up a storm in a mediocre movie that everyone wanted to come together and make, and that's fine. Like, I don't have the ability to be mad at something like that. But again, I will bear to anyone out there who's not seen Megalopolis. I'm not going to sit here and act like the movie's not political as hell. It is. I'm not saying you're going to agree with it, but I think it's at least interesting that he wanted to.
Had a very mediocre year evidently was Doug Liman. He made both Instigators and Roadhouse.
I was gonna bring up Instigators before we moved on because frankly, outside of saying The Killer is better than Woo's last film, Silent Night, I have nothing to say about The Killer. And Argyle,
Can we talk about the twist in Argyle?
The oil CGI thing is enough said about Argyle.
I don't remember that.
Argyle to me falls under the Red One thing of like this isn't really to me a horribly bad movie. It's like it's a bad blockbuster. Like there's still
it's a very empty but fun movie to a degree.
Yeah, there's some of the best CGI I think this past year. With
I didn't think it was that bad.
I don't remember any like specifically horrific CGI. So
no, I don't either.
I'm sure there was bad CGI, but
yeah, I'm sure, but not enough to take me out like it does a Hold on You.
All right.
I just want to talk about the twist, though. The fact that they're trying to connect it to Kingsman felt so unnecessary.
Yeah. Matthew Vaughn needed to go back to making good movies. Like, he really does.
Honestly, my favorite thing about Argyle was, like, there was this report that came, like, there was this report that everybody ran with where it was, like, Argyle cost $200 million. And then all of this came out afterwards. But if you do the deep research on it, the production. So one thing you can say about Matthew Vaughn, he will always get to make movies because he's incredibly responsible with his production budgets. No Kingsman film ever cost more than $100 million. And the production budget for Argyle was $80 million. Where'd the other $120 million come from? They had to purchase the rights for both Argyle and in some sort of, I guess you would say, rental agreement with 20th Century Fox for Kingsman in order to put all that into the movie.
That's still Vaughn's fault then.
And they got
necessary.
And they're going nowhere with this. So we never do again.
I want
a sequel. Fuck it. Do more.
The cat was cool. Anything with a cat is awesome.
Yeah. Them walked out the best thing about the movie.
Yeah, I didn't think the actors were the problem.
No, I mean, dude, that cast is fucking stellar. But just
Yeah, it's fine. All right. Any other thoughts before we move on?
No.
nah. But this ends with us, guys. This list ends with us.
Ah,
Okay. Then we'll move
I see
on
what you
to the
did there.
films. We'll move on to the films that I gave a 6.5 out of 10 to. Here we have The Bike Riders, Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, Michael Keaton's Goodrich, Hot Frosty. Yes, I did watch it. Moana
And you
2,
gave it a
and
decent review, evidently. Yikes.
Alan, naturally, by the way, I've been rotating. You were next up to speak first, but this lined up perfectly because if there's one thing you like, it is Godzilla. We've spoken extensively about your thoughts on the previous American films. How did this one work for you?
I want to hear
This
Alan and
one,
Hot Frosty.
this one worked. I hated the 2014. I hated King of the Monsters, except for the Ghidorah and Rodan redesigns. I did not like Godzilla versus Kong, but Kong and Godzilla New Empire works a lot. It took every criticism from the first three MonsterVerse movies and said, you know what? We hear you. Less stupid humans, more scenes with just the kaiju and just their interactions. And we had whole scenes with just Kong and Scar King, Kong and Shimu, and then Godzilla and Shimu. I absolutely love this movie. It took everything from the Showa era, the crazy Godzilla movies, and just said, let's have fun, be stupid, be insane. And I loved Godzilla's evolution redesign with the pink. When I first saw it, I said, "Oh God, this can't work. This can't work." But they made him look a little bit better, a little bit more fun and exciting. They still did. They made him cute. They didn't make him a good guy, but they did make him cute, which I would have had a problem with. But it was so him cuddling up in the Coliseum. Oh man, I mean, come on, it's adorable. You gotta love that. And the fact that they took that annoying little girl from Skull Island, or not from Skull Island, but from Godzilla vs. Kong, and made her the Shobajin, the caller of Mothra. Brilliant. I love this movie. I love it.
Yeah, as someone who likes I don't love any of the American ones, but I like all of them except for King of the Monsters. That one didn't work for me. Well, of course the 90s one sucks, but we're talking about the modern ones.
Yeah.
I like them all. I don't love any of them. And this would fall into that same region. I will say they did make a good choice by paring down the human cast. And I still don't think they've quite figured out how to integrate humans into this well. But that said, Brian Tyree Henry and Dan Stevens were the most entertaining pairing any two humans have been in these films. And they've already confirmed that Dan Stevens is back for the next one. I think they're trying to get Brian Tyree Henry back, but he's not confirmed yet because that man is working and busy. But those two work really well off of each other, especially after I felt that Brian Tyree Henry was kind of wasted with Millie Bobby Brown in the last one. I'm glad they gave him a chance to like do something and show his personality. And yeah, the action in this was exceptional. Like, and I like they've already said with the new one, the one thing that I've read about it is apparently they do actually plan on doing a proper action sequence with that Roman Coliseum thing. They're bringing that back so they can do something with it. And I think that's a great idea. Because, I mean, if we can make it a little bigger, kaiju and a Roman Gladys, like you can see it. You can already see it.
Oh, yeah.
That's all. I feel like that was a movie Battleground question at one point in the show. It's like, where should they fight? That feels like a...
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they definitely did some
I agree.
Yeah.
And for new kaiju, as far as, because it's they haven't invented a couple of new kaiju in a while. Shimu and Scar King were excellent.
Were they completely original to this, or were they pulled from something?
They were completely original, which was very cool.
Okay, yeah. Because wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was the last time they invented a character they just called them the Mutos, right? In the first one.
Yeah, the Mutos were invented for it. Yeah, and I think another thing. What I love about this movie is it takes it was the perfect antithesis to Godzilla minus one, because Godzilla minus one was what a Godzilla movie should be. But if you're going to go silly and you're going to go ridiculous, because the original Godzilla series did, then New Empire is what it should be. It should be, if you're going to go crazy, go wacky, go big. But I love that we live in a world where we've got both. We've got both. If I want the serious epic drama Godzilla film, I've got it. If I want the silly fun cartoon, I got it too. So best of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else have any other thoughts on the film, or anyone want to jump to another one?
I will say you gave it one of the most funniest moments the past year with Godzilla. Oh no, Khan taking the ape and smacking the shit out of all the other.
Oh yeah,
that made me laugh so hard. That one of my favorite funny moments. If anything, me last year.
it's pretty great.
Yeah. Move on.
All right, Tato, you want to jump in? Do you see any of these, or any of these stand out to you to bring up?
I did not catch any of these, but I do want to stay spoiler free on Moana. I don't know if you guys want to go deep into that. I can dip out.
No. I don't think we need to go deep into it. I would just say, I'm going to say let's not go too deep into it, Chris. So if you don't think you can spoil, then I would say just that way we're not dealing with like someone.
Oh no, I'm not saying spoil. I'm just saying my least favorite out of the bunch here. You know what we were saying about Ghostbusters? It's the same way I feel about this. It felt like a Disney Plus made into a movie, but it just feel like a TV show. Yeah,
I would.
It was supposed to be a Disney Plus show, but they turned it into a movie.
I need to feel the lack of Miranda.
Its biggest sin is it feels exactly like you think it would if you know the behind the scenes history of the movie. It feels like a show that like 70% of the way through they got told, hey, it's going to be a movie, figure it out.
yeah And I really liked it. Sorry Aaron. I really liked it a lot. It's not as good as the first, especially musically. I know Miranda didn't write the music in this one. So I mean, the songs are fine, but they're not as hard hitting and iconic, quite frankly, as the first one. And unashamedly, Moana, the first one, is my favorite Disney film of all time. It doesn't hurt that I'm surrounded by, Polynesian culture. But Moana had a huge impact here in Hawaii. And Moana 2 kind of went with a whimper. I mean, the performances in the theaters here sold out because everybody wanted to go see it, but it didn't have the same, they didn't translate. Moana 1, they translated it into Hawaiian, and we went to screenings of it and, loved it. But the second one didn't have that much of an impact, but I still enjoyed it for what it was. I still enjoyed it because it did bring out other Polynesian cultures into the film, which I appreciated, design wise, especially, which I liked.
Yeah, I liked the last 20 minutes of it. I like where they go with the ending.
Yeah.
I thought with the first half was stronger than what we got in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And the post credit scene, oh come on, they don't make a hostage for another one.
Yeah. All right, then JPO, I'll go to you next. Any of these stand out to you want to bring up?
Yeah, I'll kind of bookend the other two that I haven't talked about as much. Black Riders, I did enjoy a little bit more. I wanted more though, so it's like probably like a 7.5 because I felt like it was just one of those kind of biopics where it was like a little dash at this time, and never succumbed to me as much as I would like though. But I dug it. I liked the little side stuff from Michael Shannon, Norman Reedus, and whatnot. So I thought it was still pretty good. I like the director as a whole too. So for Lions, I think it's a lot of fun. I just thought about rewatching it the other day. I think it's got a really fun premise. It ends up having kind of some strange heart in it as well too. Towards the end with my girl Anna Kendrick, she shall be mine. Oh yes, she shall be mine. That's besides the point. It's got a great premise. I wouldn't mind that being somehow like sequelized as well. So Jake Johnson's really good. So.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So, Self-Reliance, I think, was a really solid like directorial debut. Could be areas that could be strengthened, but I still think it's a fun ride. And I also think Jake Johnson makes great use of all the various celebrity connections he's made over the years. Because some of the people that are in this, you can clearly tell it's like, oh, he asked a buddy to do a small bit, but he makes good use of them. They're not
Yeah.
just here to.
Sandberg's funny. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah. Sandberg's great.
around it.
So yeah, he makes it work. And I appreciate the high concept because it is a really intriguing. Like, why would you go about it? Hey, it works. And then of course, I mean, look, we got to talk about Hot Frosty real quick. Did anybody else watch this? By the way, was it just me?
I did not see it.
Hot Frosty.
No, I think it rich, but not hot frosty.
Okay. Hot Frosty, I'll talk about briefly. It was funny that it like went viral for existing. It's absolutely a Hallmark script, but it's done better than a Hallmark film. Like, that's what I'll say. It is a Hallmark movie script, but the quality of actors that are in it, the quality of how, I mean, a Hallmark movie wouldn't have Craig Robinson and Jolo Truglio as like comic relief. Like, a Hallmark movie's not pulling talent like that. And so, yeah, it is. It's like, it's a shitty film, but it's a shitty fun film. So yeah, next Christmas, if you and your loved one want to get hot and bot, this movie's not even really sexy. Watch Hot Frosty. It's fun.
Not pulling talent like Jolo Truglio. Not a sentence I expected to hear tonight.
Right?
I like Good Rich a lot too. Then we did a time.
I thought it was fine. Clearly, I gave it a 6.5. All right, well, we'll go ahead and jump onto the next set of films that I'll bring up here.
Sorry, JPO or not JPO. I'm so used to him hosting. Sorry, Aaron. I got to jump out because I got a murder mystery show to go do.
Nice. Have fun.
We'll enjoy
I
it.
will,
but say hi to me. You're gonna
It's
leave.
always me.
Oh shit! Is that Matt?
Right before me and Bill Gates hop in.
This is when it's Matt on the show.
Man. Had I known, Mr. Matthew, had I known, I wouldn't have jumped out. I'm so good to see you, my brother. It's been many years. Many years.
It's been a while. Look,
I know, man. It's been a while. It's good to see you.
Like, this random couple comes up to me, like, here, we thought about you when we saw your card. So here's this little card. And it said, "Don't give up. Have hope." And it's like, what? What's going on?
You got that kind of face, I guess. You got that kind of face.
Yes, I have that, like, I'm a depressed guy. That's like at his ends type of face.
Oh man, but if they had only spoken to you and your dry wit and humor would have attacked them and they would have said, "Oh, this guy's already okay. He's all right.
Yeah,
he's doing good."
They love me. Look, I mean,
they love your style of life.
Watching over his shoulder,
right?
No.
Especially smiling like that.
Yeah,
I do. It is good to see you again. Good to see everybody. Aaron, I love you, my brother. I'm glad this is all coming and happening. I'd be glad to be on again if you'll have me. And all the rest of y'all, love y'all.
Peace out.
Shoots. All right, man. See y'all later.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are joined. I was gonna intro the next segment by bringing Matt in. I did not realize that we had hit his out time. Although now that I look at our clock, we have absolutely perfectly hit the out time he gave me. So with that said, Matt Beer steps in to take over the place of Dr. Spaceman. Jordan, your greatest wish comes true tonight. And Matt, we'll start with you for the 7. We'll start with you for the 7 out of 10s here as I bring them on screen. 7 out of 10 I gave to The Beekeeper, The Concierge, which I'm actually now thinking, I don't know if that ever came out aside from festivals. I will have to research that. The Idea of You, Kung Fu Panda 4, Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, Mean Girls, and The People's Joker. That might be the most diverse set of films we've had tonight. Matt, which of those stands out to you?
I mean, there's a few that stand out for different reasons. Like, I haven't seen Concierge or whatever. So I'm gonna assume that's something that came out at a festival.
I'm gonna hit
If
a be
not,
right
maybe
back.
it came out last
I haven't seen any of these, so I'll be right back.
See,
I'll jump
everybody's
back.
leaving when I'm on. Everybody's
I'm a
just
terrible
leaving.
person.
They're just
seen-
bouncing out. See, everybody's just leaving me. But no, Beekeeper stands out to me because I think it's one of those so bad it's good movies. Like there's that scene where they're on the highway or whatever, and he straps the guy to the back of the car, and the car flies off. And the guy just flies as he chained up. That was great. Kung Fu Panda, not as good as the other three. Enjoy that. And then I think we're on the opposite end of Mean Girls because I did not like Mean Girls. Maybe it's because I like the musical, but like the movie adaptation wasn't great for me. It's like all TikTok.
I've never seen the stage show, so I can't compare it. And I like the original film, but I've never loved it. So honestly, I kind of feel the same way about the original that I feel about the remake, which is like, yeah, it's good. Pick your favorite version. I don't know. I don't think the songs do too much new to it. So it is just you've recast all the roles, and I think some of the choices are better performers than the original. I know that all the musical fans had something. I'm sure, Chris, you have something to say about Angry Rice's singing voice. I think she's a better actress than Lindsay Lohan is. So if she's not hitting the notes, I'll take a good performance over the need for the best singing. Vice versa. I don't think Renee Rapp's a better actress than Rachel McAdams, but certainly she can sing the hell out of what they gave her to sing. Although I think she's the one that transplanted from Broadway, right? So that would make sense.
She wasn't the original in the Broadway. They recast it, and she was the one that ended up getting the role the second time. She was
on stage.
But yeah, she was on stage, and like her singing is great.
And to answer my previous question, because I saw The Concierge at a film festival.
Okay.
It did release last year, but it was picked up by Crunchyroll, so they gave it a limited theatrical run in September and then put it on their service.
That's probably why I never heard of it.
Okay, yeah. I'll talk about it briefly just in case anyone out here has Crunchyroll and they decide to go look it up. It's a 70-minute movie, so it's not super long. And it's basically the premise is it's about a concierge team, and specifically like a new girl on this concierge team that work at this high-end sort of mythical like mall. Like think like Mall of America style grand mall, but there's this like mythical element to it where there's magical creatures walking around, but there's also humans walking around. And it's kind of just like a day in the life type story of working at this insane mall and what would a concierge at a mall like this do. And it was just a cute, 70-minute movie. It going to Crunchyroll makes absolute sense. Like for what it is, it makes sense now that I know that's where it wound up. But yeah, it's the people that worked on it, they worked with Production IG, which are a pretty big animation company out of Japan. But a lot of these people sort of got their grounds at Studio Ghibli, and compared to another film that's going to come up later in this episode that also kind of got its origin at Studio Ghibli, this is not a Ghibli film at all. But you can certainly see like the technique of how to make a good movie is there. JPL, I'll go to you next, sir. What are your thoughts on any of the films you haven't brought up yet?
Oddly enough, I'll actually show some love for the Mean Girls. Actually, this worked more than I thought it would. I seem to be more in your camp, Aaron, as one. I like the original. I'm not over the moon about it. It's not one I go back to. I literally have seen it maybe twice, 3 times tops. So I think it's slightly overrated. And I definitely have never seen the actual musical part outside of the movie, and I never will. But I thought it worked. I thought the spirit of it was good, and I'm also a real sucker for a good ending. And I just thought the ending was a nice, fuck yeah, it left me want to conquer the world, baby. And that's what I think movies like that, are aiming for. So that actually worked more than I thought it would. Beekeeper was better than a lot of people figured it would be. We can't wait for Beekeeper 2, Working Man, coming out here in a couple days. Kung Fu Panda was all right. I didn't see the other ones. People's Joker looks really weird. I want to hear your thoughts on that.
The movie that I'd probably most compare the People's Joker to is I Saw the TV Glow, because the thing that they both have is they're both made by directors who are transgender, and the stories are both allegorical for like the trans journey. I did not see I Saw the TV Glow, so I'm just going off of what I heard from
That's
people
weird
who
you saw
did.
this one instead.
Well, no, so I actually I talked about it in the best of episode with my co-host there, Tyler, because it was on his best list. I Saw the TV Glow, and it was literally like, you know, I had heard there were two movies, both of which, very much echo and represent trans people. And I looked at like trailers for them both, and just off the concept, I was like, well, the People's Joker sounds more interesting. Like if they nail it, it's more interesting to me. So I watched that one over I Saw the TV Glow. I don't think it quite nails it. And funny enough, I think it's in the parody aspect. I think it sort of fails because it starts off trying to be like a parody of Joker, specifically the 2018 film or 2019 movie. But it kind of runs out of that material really, really quickly. So then it just starts throwing in anything and everything that's Batman to parody. And it becomes like its own completely different story. And so just as a parody film, I don't think it quite works. It is just its own original story. And as is, it's fine. I feel like because it's a little more overt than I Saw the TV Glow is, I think maybe someone who is trans might connect with it a little better, whereas I Saw the TV Glow is more A24 artistic, and while it obviously is a trans allegory because the director is trans, it is wrapped in enough packaging that it doesn't present that way. So you can connect to it possibly through something in your own life a little more. But for a low budget parody indie film, like I thought it was fine. Like certainly I would like to see the director take another crack at something and see what she can come up with. Because there's enough here.
Does that mean The Matrix is a trans allegory film?
They have said that, yes. I know that was a joke, but no, they actually have said that, yes. Not back in 1999, but
yeah.
All right. Do we have any more thoughts here on any of these films before we jump forward? All right, Chris, one more. Go ahead.
Yeah. Beekeeper Brigade. The idea here I really do like a lot for Dan Hatchway one. That's ever especially surprised. I like that guy who did be the new He-Man. Much better movie than that Cinderella one he did. Comfort Panda Forever, fine. Lord of the Rings, fine. Mingo, I like it whenever they try to be a recreation of the original, like the newer stuff. And I love Aaron, how you say the Moana girl Ash's name?
Ali Carvalho.
I believe it's pronounced Ali Carvalho.
Cravella. Her and the one that played Damon were the two best things about the movie for me. Like their back and forth, their comedy really worked. I really rate Ali a lot in the movie. And I have not seen the other two. I haven't seen Concierge or People Joker.
Yeah. The girl they casted for Karen and Mean Girls, I'll say she was really well cast.
Really funny. Like she made it her own without being and the safety.
Yeah, I thought my only issue with her was I thought she had the worst song.
See, in the Broadway show, the song's really good. It's a lot of
really
fun.
good show.
That's fair. Yeah,
well,
that's adequate. All right. So with that said, we'll go ahead and jump over then to the 7.5s. From here on out, I've split them in half because there's just more films per section. So the first half here, Chris, I will go back to you to start. And again, just for the brevity of the show, because there's going to be more films coming up for sure. Just kind of pick one and stick to it if you're talking about, because you'll get to jump in on other comments if people bring something else up. But we have 7.5 out of 10, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, If, Look Back, which was another small anime release. Shout out to my brother for being interested in these. That's how I wound up seeing them. Monkey Man, Problemista, and Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Chris, which one do you want to start with?
I do leave Sonic for somebody else, even though I do love Sonic. I do go Furiosa. I think this is like I get a lot of people see Mad Max Fury Road better. I kind of like this one a little bit more, just because I think Chris Hemsworth is phenomenal as the villain of this. I think he easily stole the movie for start to finish. I think on the Joy is great. The action sequence is really good. Do like how tying to Mad Max Fury Road a lot. And I'm really sad that didn't do well because this was one of the most fun time I had in the movies last year. With the kind of had it. But they had a good, decent crowd. We all enjoyed it. Yeah, a little bit high on it. I'm a 9 out of 10 on my Letterboxd.
Okay, all right. Anyone else have brief thoughts on Furiosa?
No, I mean I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it less than most people because I've seen a lot of people saying this should have been nominated for Best Picture. No, it's good. It should have done better at the box office. But like people seem to forget, Fury Road didn't do great at the box office either. It made like 400 some million dollars. It wasn't this like $800 million box office hit. So it's kind of on par. It made less obviously than that, but I mean, it was a good time at the theater. You know, there were parts of it that I felt got a little slow. But yeah, Chris Hemsworth is the highlight of that movie for sure.
I'll once again be the biggest fan of the movie in the room here. I fucking loved Furiosa. I thought it worked. It's one of my favorites of the year. It's in my 10. I don't know, man. I was suckered into it from beginning to end. Shout out to the other Furiosa, the younger Furiosa. Besides Anya Taylor, I thought she was great. I thought it looked great. Loved Hemsworth. Like, I was invested. Even the other guy that she deals with, I was invested with. I love the guy that's just tweaking his nipples for no reason. That guy's great. But come on, movie's great.
I can relate to that guy.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, that's me.
Yeah, I sometimes do that at work.
And they're like, stop it, Matt.
Nobody's here.
Stop touching yourself at work, Matt. I'll use my
Just the nips.
I'll use my knowledge of actors here to shout out some of those people. You were talking about Praetorian. I had to look up the character's name, by the way. You looked up, shouted out Praetorian Jack. Shout out to Tom Burke, who is currently in theaters right now as part of the cast of Black Bag, which is an excellent film. If you've not seen it, go check Black Bag out. And Layla Brown is the name of the young actress who played Furiosa. She's actually in another film, a part of this set of lists. So I'll turn it over to Sonic the Hedgehog 3, where she plays Maria. Anyone here have strong thoughts on Sonic 3 they want to jump in on?
Yeah, I'll take this one. I'll doff my cap to Chris. I appreciate you throwing me the bone here. Because anyone who's been watching the last 3 segments wondering, what's Tato doing here? He's here to flate Sonic the Hedgehog 3 exclusively. I adored the shit out of this movie. This is my favorite Sonic story. It's based on Sonic Adventure 2. Which is like I said, it's my favorite game in the franchise, and a franchise that's pretty near and dear to me. They're definitely bigger fans of it than I am. But they absolutely nailed everything. They gave me everything I could have wanted in this movie, much like Alan going off on Godzilla, which I think is a franchise that is closer to him than Sonic is to me. That goes without saying. I don't think there's a lot of franchises closer to anyone than Alan is to Godzilla. But with that said, they gave me everything that I could have wanted, plus more here. Things I would have never dreamed of getting, like a Chow Garden and stuff like that. Is like the member berries are delicious. I have it at probably like a 9 to a 9.5, and I will admit that probably about a point of that, give or take a little, is for just like the way they nailed the nostalgia. Keanu Reeves is perfect as Shadow. He very much could have come in and just done Keanu. And gotten away with it, and it would have been fine. I don't know. I probably wouldn't have even been mad at it because Shadow's voice naturally is very close to Keanu's in a way, which is why he is the perfect casting for it. But yeah, when he nailed that, Maria is perfect. Right when they open on the intro chords of Live and Learn is fantastic. I can't blow this movie enough. So yeah, big old 9-star plus movie for me. My only gripe. Oh, sorry. I'll just make this one brief. Is the Jim Carrey of it all, and I get why they have to do it. So it's not bad. It's just the only part that diverts too much from the original story, for me personally.
No, that's fair. Look out on the TMG OnlyFans. It'll just be Tato filleting a blue dildo while Sonic 3 plays in the background.
Hey, we've done that
anything
on
else we can-
Battleground before.
Gotta come fast.
We've put dildos on characters.
I'll turn it over to other people for Sonic 3. I personally I like Sonic 3 as much as I like the others, and I say that as someone who has no connection to Sonic whatsoever. I mean, I didn't even play the game until I was an adult. I just think these movies are fun, man. Like, they're not ever really better than a 7.5 out of 10 for me, but I've seen all three movies more than once. I've seen Knuckles, and they're all just entertaining as hell. Like, I got nothing bad to say about them. I just don't love them higher than this. They're just a guaranteed good time. And I will say at this point, the one thing about the third one that stood out to me, I think this is the best directed of the three films. I would, in the same way that I think a lot of people are now saying they would love to see Chad Stahelski do something outside of John Wick, I would love to see Jeff Fowler step outside of the Sonic franchise and tackle something else. But that said, his love and bread and butter seems to be Sonic, so if he wants to keep making good Sonic shit, all more power to you. Keep going, man. But whenever you feel finished, I would love to see him try something else, because I think he's got a really good handle on just storytelling, and he's getting better at the technical aspects with each film.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, you were like brimming at the seams there. Potato exploded. Why don't you be our second?
I love Sonic 3 a lot. This is one of my favorite theater experiences. Watching the audience that laughed out of the movie when they go super Sonic and everything. I would just scream out in my seat so much as Sonic fan. Yeah, everything. I love Jim Carrey. We didn't bring out. I love the double Jim Carrey. I love him and Robotnik and the Grandpa Robotnik. The dance sequence is hysterical. That post credit scene, I can't wait to see Amy. I can't wait to see Metal Sonic come into there. Like, I don't want to even audience. Like, these are the best time to watch with theater with a good audience. Like, and somehow bring Jim Carrey, but I know maybe not to come out based on how his character go at the end of this. But they brought him back from the second one, and he survived the second one. So who knows? And also, shout out to Agent Stone, another really good character in these movies. Like, I love the art to go with his character. Good way to end his character than the last one. Yeah, a 9 out of 10 for me. It may be a little bit too high, but I enjoyed this movie. That's my favorite out of 3.
All right. JPO, I don't know if we've heard from you yet on these set of films. Anyone that you want to jump into?
No, I'm gonna shout out to some love for Furiosa. As for Sonic, yeah, I'm in the middle of like you and Tato. I did play him growing up. Watched a little bit of the cartoons. I do have some love for Sonic. Not to the next level where like Tato was throwing out some references that I still don't know what they are. Because again, I kind of take these. They're fun. They're really fun actually here. So far, this ended up being a really tight trilogy. Like, I recommend all three to family and whatnot too. My niece became a fan of these movies. So yeah, no, Sonic's ended up being a really tight, fun trilogy here. I've always been slightly afraid they're going to lose a bit of the charm or the funniness. Each installment, and they figured it out so far. So I'm trepidatious for the fourth, but I said that for the second and third, and I was proven wrong. Pez is going to yell at you for having If this high on your list. So thank God he's not here.
He was on our list.
If it's not that bad, I never get to hate.
We
fine.
trust me. If you guys want to go back, I time coded all those episodes, so you can find it relatively easily.
Yeah.
Go back and look out in those episodes for his. Well, I was gonna say I time coded the episodes, but also there's a big banner with each movie. So if you want to go see his thoughts on If and our conversation, it's definitely there.
Yeah.
What is Look Back? I don't remember what that is.
So Look Back is another anime film.
Pass. All right, we're gonna talk about it.
Look, Aaron, I wish.
I'll agree with you.
I was going to say, the one thing that I want to throw out there with Look Back is it personally didn't connect with me, but if you are an anime fan, like if anyone watches this who's an anime fan, my brother and sister who came with me watch, I wouldn't say they're avid anime fans, but they watch more. They watch actual shows. I've never watched an anime show full scale. I just watched the odd movie. They liked it more than I did, and with actual anime fans, it connected. The film played at the Anarchy Film Festival last year, which is a huge film festival for animation films. It had a great reception coming out of that. So this is a me thing. It worked a lot better for a lot of other people. So if you're an anime fan, I would definitely recommend checking it out because it'll probably work for you more than it did for me.
Yeah, Aaron, I wish you didn't say next week, look out for TMG only fans, because when Chris said that scene had him screaming out of his chair, I thought for a second he said that had me creaming out of my chair, and I almost lost it. I was like, geez, Chris, creaming.
He's just trying to get on the OnlyFans, bro. You got to respect the hustle.
We're going to tag
Wait,
team,
was
but
he really trying
no.
to do that? No, ill.
Oh gosh, I was like creaming cheese. But no.
Fun fact:
Monkey
cream and cheese, 2 characters in the Sonic franchise.
Oh yeah, that's perfect for TMG only fans.
Fine.
We're gonna talk about cream today, guys. But no, nobody talked about Monkey Man yet. Monkey Man, I thought was a
I like
blast.
Monkey Man.
Really dug Monkey Man. Dev Patel's first movie he directed, and he kicked ass doing it. You know, you got a little slow at times, but the action is great in the movie. It's well shot. Yeah, it's brutal and stuff. I really dug it. The ending is the one I didn't love the end of the movie.
That's my only gripe with the movie is the ending. I
didn't love it, but no, Monkey Man's really good. I really dug it. I haven't seen anything about Dev Patel directing another movie. I hope it's not like a Joseph Gordon-Levitt situation where he directs one movie and then it's like years before we potentially see another movie from him. Because I think we're finally getting.
I heard his name attached to something the other day. So
yeah, like we're finally. So I'm hoping Dev Patel directs something much sooner.
He need to be in more movie too. Dev Patel would be really good at it.
Make him James Bond.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead then and move on to the next, the other half of the 7.5s list. And Tato, we're going to circle back around to you first, because in the same way that it beautifully aligned that Alan got the one I know he wanted to talk about, I got your baby on this one as well. We have the 4:30 movie, Alien Romulus, The Apprentice, Gladiator 2, Long Legs, Piece by Piece, and Transformers 1. Tato, go ahead.
Tato, talk about piece by piece.
Exactly. You all know what's coming. I fucking love the shit out of the Alien franchise. Same joke. Hey, different movie. 4:30 movie was really good here. Obviously, I'm the Kevin Smith guy here. It's really, really fun. Even outside of the View Askew, it's definitely one of the non-View Askew ones that is highest up there for me. And obviously, it's a very different movie than Tusk and Red State. But yeah, really sweet film here. I did go 4, and I actually went 4 stars on it. And it probably would be an 8.5 on a 10-star system. But yeah, just a really heartfelt piece of coming of age movies that we don't get a lot of, though I did think we got quite a few sweet ones this year. I don't know if another one will come up here, but I'll throw out Incoming because I don't know if it is or not. Also really fantastic.
I did not get to that one, no.
Yeah.
But I'll give there will be a moment at the end where if you guys want to bring one up, feel free. So
Sure. But yeah, 4:30 movie, just like I said, really heartfelt. I guess I don't have too much specific to get into it. I did love Sonic more, which is somewhat weird.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for the acting is fine from the kids. There's nothing to write home about. The people, like the Kevin Smith favorites who show up, do good in their roles. Ken Jeong is really fucking funny, as Ken Jeong is wont to be. So yeah, the performances are what you would expect from the actors based on what you know of the actors or what you don't know of the actors in the kids' case. But I like Austin Zager quite a bit. Hopefully, I could see him growing into these kind of types of roles in indie film. He's like not a fucking super duper talented actor or anything, but he's a good fucking Kevin Smith actor who could pop into more things, and I hope he gets a chance to do that.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah. No, I'll briefly talk about 4:30 as well. Yeah, I liked it. So funny enough, one of my best friends is a big Kevin Smith guy. So even though I've not seen all of his work, I'm familiar with it on a conversational level because one of my best friends loves his work. And I remember I went and saw uh Clerks 3, and I really, really enjoyed Clerks 3. Like honestly, more than I enjoyed the other two. And I like Clerks a lot, the first one, obviously. Like and for what it is of like a lo-fi indie, it is a classic. But Clerks 3 to me stood out as the best direction Kevin Smith has ever given in his career. Like it feels like from an actual crafts perspective, he is locked in more than ever on making good films. And the 430 movie, while not as good as Clerks 3, was a continuation of that. I thought it was really, really well crafted. I thought he nailed the feel of just these kids hanging out. It could have been a little tighter, but that's not the story he wanted to tell. He wanted to tell just this like day in the life story. And so in that sense, the only thing that I probably could have been cut was it could have saved a little bit of time on the showing the parts of the fictional movie or the fictional trailers just to like work cameos in. Could have cut a little bit of that, but it's not like it's all consuming completely. And at least one of those cameos they do work back into the movie later, which I thought was funny. So yeah, definitely a sweet, sweet film. You're right, that is the word. But yeah, very, very solid. And I look forward to his next work because again, I think this is the tightest as a director he's ever felt. Always a solid filmmaker, but always felt like somebody who was doing it for fun. Like you could tell people had fun making his movies. Now it feels like he really is honing his craft. So I'm curious to see how it goes. JPO, you're also a fan. Go ahead.
Yeah, as the real Kevin Smith fan of the group, fight me, Tato. No, actually, yeah, I went to a theater. I didn't even like to watch this movie here to support good old Kev. No, I liked it here. This is actually a really good year for like coming of age tales. This, Snack Shack, and Incoming were all actually really good. Suncoast, if you want to throw that in there as well, if you haven't seen that. So yeah, no, this was good. But yeah, the best part is definitely the core group here, what they're going through. You know, I'm a fan of Zatura, who's actually dating Harley Quinn in real life and whatnot. Um, uh, I thought some of the cameos, unfortunately, were just unfortunately they didn't have much more to do. You know, I was like Jason Lee. I haven't seen Jason Lee in a while. He has like 2 lines and he's out. You know, Jason Biggs, his scene is kind of wasted, and whatnot. So some of that didn't totally work for me here. And just like Argyle, can we talk about the twist at the end? Is that necessary?
Yeah.
Does he have to?
Yeah,
Did you like it, Aaron?
What are you referring to as a twist?
That he's outside the quick stop at the end. He's outside the quick stop at the end.
I like that.
Okay.
That
would make sense. By that would I get what you're saying. Yeah, I guess it is a twist, but
like, he's got to like somehow incorporate it and like eat his own tail. Like I don't know.
I only cried a little.
And what's the timeline too? Is he Dante's boss based on the time frame? Like I'm confused.
Like it's a gas station. People work there for fucking 2 seconds sometimes. It might be just the guy who worked there before.
That's fair too. Yeah, that is fair. He works there for 2 weeks and he goes make movies. All right, fair enough. Oh, and I think the scene you're referring to also earlier, well, the best use of a cameo is Sam Richardson as the wrestler. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, he was really good. All right, Matt, I'll turn it over to you next. Any of these films stand out to you? You want to talk about real quick?
I mean, there's a few. I mean, the 3. Apprentice. I'll talk about that. I dug The Apprentice. I believe if Kieran Culkin wasn't in a real pain last year, I think Jeremy Strong wins the Oscar. That birthday scene at the end alone, I think, is great. But he was wonderful. And then with Sebastian Stan, like, no, he doesn't do the voice like spot on, which I appreciate that he's not trying to do an impression of Donald Trump like a Shane Gillis. If you wanted somebody to do an impression, just go cast him in the movie. But it was like the mannerisms and just the little things. It was spot on. And I thought he was really good as well. So I was really happy. And I told you whenever they were going to get nominated for an Oscar. And
yeah,
I was
right.
I called it. But no, it's a good movie. You know, I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it should have been nominated for Best Picture or anything like that. But I think the performances in the movie are really the standouts. And then Alien Romulus, you know, it's not as good as the first two Alien movies, but pretty damn good. And I'm excited to see the next one.
All right. Do you guys anything left you want to jump into?
Yeah, I know a lot of people are a little behind on Transformer 1. I really freaking love this movie. I think this is the best Transformer movie. Besides Bumblebee, the best live action. This is the best one out of all of them. This is a really good origin story that we didn't think we need, but it's well told. Megatron arc is fantastic in the movie. By the time Henry, I think, get the best vocal performance of the year. Any animated movie, I think you really feel for him. And his fall is really tragic. And you know what? I know, Aaron, you've had to bring him. I like Chris Hemsworth's Optimus Prime. I thought he did a good job. I think he wasn't trying to be like the original. I think, especially to the end, it started to feel really good. Everybody's great, and that last 20 freaking minutes while he was on it, just like, kind of like started just cheering every moment on, and with that sword come out, and when you start to see who they all become, I was really happy. I really wish they would do another one, but this LA bomb in the box office. Come on, Paramount, you should give a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sequel, give this a sequel. Yeah.
I'm going to fact check myself in a second, but I wonder which one did better? Was it Turtles or was it Transformers 1?
I hope Turtles, because it looked a lot better.
I think
I thought Turtles was a much better film.
I think Transformers 1. No, I was thinking it had the longer legs, but I'm thinking the Wild Robot.
No, that's a Nicolas Cage movie. That's right there. That's a horror movie with Nicolas Cage.
No. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles did way better. So Turtles cost $70 million and it did $180 worldwide. Transformers here's your problem. The budgetary range is somewhere between 75 and 150. So if we're gonna call it somewhere down the middle of that, we'll say it cost like 120 and it made 129. So Transformers lost money. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles might have turned a small profit.
Yeah, because they're doing another Turtles movie. I think it did enough to justify. Like, it wasn't a complete
Nicholas Cage on Kill Tony.
Was that kid on Kill Tony?
Yeah, the kid who played Leonardo.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And then we'll move on. I was gonna say.
Alien Romulus is awesome.
Yeah, Alien Romulus is awesome. I don't have much to say on it personally.
Yeah. What about that twist at the end with the giant basketball player from Romania?
Yeah,
Boban.
Yeah, Boban played the alien. He lost a lot of weight for that.
If you cut out the Ian Holm stuff, I would have loved the movie more. But the Ian Holm scene take me out every time.
Why? I liked it.
I think they could have touched up on the CG, but I like the character was back.
I just feel like
you never really got any.
Maybe preferred Fassbender coming back, or just because the timeline between Alien.
Fassbender has nothing to do with that sect of the universe.
Yeah, no, you're wrong.
I thought it was a Battleground for JPO and Chris based just on this match. Or on this casual.
Let me know who got the points. Let me know who got the points tonight. I want to know.
All right. Well, we'll move on then to the first of the 8 out of 10s here. The movies that I'm pulling up, we have Bad Boys, Ride or Die, The Book of Clarence, Joker, Folie à Deux, Mars Express, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, Orion in the Dark, and The Shadow Strays. And I'm going to leave this one off because this has possibly my most controversial opinion of the year. I like Joker Folie à Deux. I say this as someone who does not have... I like Joker 2019, but it's almost become a joke at this point that even though I gave it an 8 out of 10 and liked it, because I said it wasn't worthy of a Best Picture nomination, and I think it's highly overrated and it's just a Scorsese ripoff. I come off sounding like the guy who hates it. If you want a perfect example of that, see my title match against Henry when I had to debate it against The Irishman. And again, it's really hard to debate a film that I actually like but sound like a hater. I like Joker, but I think it was massively overrated. And Joker Folie à Deux, I think it, to me, for my criticisms of the first film, Joker Folie à Deux fixes them. I think it is much more original. Look, even if not all of it works, it's a much more original conceit than the first one. It doesn't just feel like a Scorsese ripoff. I think the performances overall are still very strong. I think the question of truly from a psychoanalysis point analyzing the premise of the first one and almost coming to a conclusion on was this all in Arthur's head? Obviously you could say society was against him, but how much of this is he truly the victim? Is there a split personality element? I like where they're going with it. And again, this is kind of one of those where maybe the outside element of it affects it as well. Anyone who's ever looked up an interview from Todd Phillips knows he was against the idea of a film being made. He did not want a sequel to be made to this movie. This is actually the second time in the last 5 years that Warner Brothers has done this, because they made Matrix 4 and the Wachowskis were incredibly outspoken about the fact that there shouldn't be a fourth Matrix film. There's no reason to go back to it as a sequel. And they did. And because they were going to, one of the Wachowskis came back and directed it. And her entire attitude was if this shit is going to exist, it's at least going to be my shit. But she made a genuinely bad film. I think Todd Phillips, despite not wanting to make this movie, and I'm not going to say that that's not apparent. It is apparent. He doesn't want this movie to exist. Half of the movie is doubling back on the first Joker and trying to explain to people why you shouldn't idolize this character and see him as a good thing. He still put craft into it. He still put effort into it. He tried to bring some sense of originality to it. He didn't want this movie to exist, and yet he still tried to make what he thought was the best, most interesting sequel. I'm not going to sit here and argue with somebody who thinks it's bad, because I get it. But as someone who wasn't a fan of the first one to the extent that everyone else was, I think what he's done is crafted a film that, from a filmmaking perspective, is made just as well as his first one. Because I don't think Todd Phillips was a best picture, best director worthy director. I think he's a fine dramatic director, and this is a fine dramatic film. But I appreciate the fact that it is different, that it takes its own chances, that it is original. And if anything, this movie makes my whole point with the first one. If Todd Phillips didn't try and just make a Scorsese movie, it wouldn't have been as good. The bones were there for the movie to exist in the first place. Because this is what happens when the guy from The Hangover tries to make an art house film on his own. This is what happens when the guy who made The Hangover tries to make an art house movie. Because he didn't have a foundation to rip off. He went completely on his own gut. And I respect it, and I enjoyed it, and I almost saw it a second time. I didn't wind up because just the times didn't work out. I like this movie, and I don't fucking care what anyone else has to say. That said, I care deeply about your guys' opinions. I'm just not. So I don't give a fuck. As in, I'm not here to have movie Battleground. That said, if anybody else wants to briefly chime in, please go ahead. But there's a lot of other movies here that I would rather we focus on than just spending 20 minutes.
I want to talk about Joker.
Yeah.
Right,
Joker Folie à Deux? More like Joker Folie à Poo. No, I will say.
Matt,
I will say the first 20 to 30 minutes of the movie,
it's a timely joke,
I think are legit great. Like the beginning of the movie, everything. That was what I was kind of wanting out of a sequel. I dug it. And there's that scene during the courtroom stuff with the guy from the first movie. He goes on. That scene, their interaction is great too. I thought that was really good. the performances, at least from Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga, are both really good as well. I think the music is unnecessary. It just felt like, hey, let's make this a musical to make it a musical. Like it didn't really go with the movie. It was like, hey, let's just pick some well-known popular songs that could maybe kind of work, but ultimately don't work with the scenes and whatnot. I feel like it ultimately just takes you out of the movie instead of like keeps you engaged, which is what a musical should do. Is if you're going to make a musical, at least have the songs keep you engaged in the story. It didn't really do that for me. It's well shot. It's a well shot movie. Good cinematography as well. But yeah, it makes me beg the question. Maybe this is the point of it, but it makes me beg the question: what's the point of having any of the Joker movies? Because the end of the movie, it's like, so who's Arthur Fleck? Is he just a guy, right? And maybe that's the point. He's just a guy, right? He's just a guy, and society paints him as this one dude. But it's like, if he's not the Joker, why are we calling it Joker with the first one then? Because he ultimately isn't the Joker.
Yeah,
and do they even call
Is
him
he?
Joker
This is an
in
alternate
the
timeline.
first
I will
movie?
say, so I want to retort to that only because I think you make a really, really great point with that. And this has always been, and again, like as someone who like for the last few years has ran a movie news show, and like I've always cared about that type of stuff. Like my interest is in the behind the scenes in the industry just as much as it is the front stuff. There are elements of Joker that have been forgotten with time because DC is such a fucking mess of a company. Joker was supposed to be a part of something that was called DC Black. And the whole point was they were going to take DC characters and make these smaller budget artistic films out of them. It was taking characters' origin stories or famous comic stories and having a totally different take on presenting it. Joker was never supposed to be a $1 billion film. Joker was never supposed to be a thing Warner Brothers relied on to save them financially with a sequel. So no, this movie was never supposed to exist. And I think that's exactly the point that Todd Phillips is trying to make with the way the movie goes. If the first one ends where the first one ends, it is an origin story for the Joker. But it was an origin story that was never supposed to lead to anything. That's the whole point. That's what DC Black was supposed to be. But Warner Brothers and DC are such a poorly run studio that DC Black never made it further than one film. So the public perception being that Joker was this thing they tried that really worked, and it should get a sequel because it did work. Like, context, I think, is everything with this film. Mm-hmm. And the context of Todd Phillips was only ever supposed to make a one-off film that was an homage to Scorsese, someone he loved, and it was just doing it with the Joker. That's the context in which this film was made. And yes, like people have accused him of making a film that's designed to piss off fans. It is designed to piss off fans because people who became fans of this movie in a certain light in which it was never supposed to exist. And that's not who he made the film for. And again, from Warner Brothers' perspective, dumb fucking idea to give this guy $200 million to go and make this movie. You all deserve to lose your fucking jobs. But that said, that is exactly the point. I agree with you on that front. And again, I liked it. I'm not saying anyone else has to, because most people don't feel the way I felt about the first one.
I'm perfectly in the middle of you two. I think you both kind of said mostly true things here. There is some sneaky great stuff in this. The performances, I don't feel you can knock. The way it looks. I even like the weird kind of opening cartoon, like I dug as well. But yeah, I mean, the songs not being engaging is absolutely true. They fucking drag, man. And they're all so one note and samey, too. Like, if they had did them once, that would have been cool. Okay, he's out in his mind singing cool. When they do it second or third time, and they're all, I'm like, these are all very same notey, like, they're not engaging songs. And totally takes you out of it here. And I do think there's some writing problems as well. I don't mind going askew and trying to do something different, but it also then reminds me weirdly enough of that third Halloween movie we got, where it's like trying to be too different to a very polarizing point. And then some of the reasons things of them being together and then breaking up, I don't think totally tracks either. Like, so yeah, it ends up being kind of middle of the road for me.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I am one of the people I really don't like this movie. I see Walking is good. I give you that. I see the courtroom scene where her former coworker testify is the best scene in the movie. I did not like Lady Gaga in the movie that much. I think Harley Quinn was a pointless character in this. I think they completely butchered her character a lot. I feel like they tried to go with the idea at the end that maybe she commits suicide, that her conversation with Archie in his head, because you see the gun in her hand at one point before you get to the scene. I rather prefer the deleted scene that went online. Nobody had never confirmed, but the deleted scene that apparently she killed Austin. Like one of the ending they shot. Like it's just one of the most miserable experiences I had in the last year. All my virtual year list, I was really let down by this movie. I thought Phillips should stay away from making a sequel. I mean, between this and the freaking Hangover sequel, yeah, he's stuck and making a sequel.
I get not liking it. To say it's the worst of the year makes it sound like you've seen 10 movies. Like that, I don't buy. Like his performance is too good to say it's in your bottom 10. That's nuts to me.
In my bottom 20, like not in 10, but in my bottom 20.
Still, I don't know. That's too down. I think it's too much good to put it that low.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of dog shit movies last year. Some really bad stuff. I watched The Underdogs on Amazon Prime. If you want to watch,
I did too.
I mean, I could talk about a positive movie you have on the list, Aaron. I think I'm happy you brought it up because nobody talked about it.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna go around. Don't go into it because I want to move on. We still have a couple more panels of films to get to. But since we spent so long on Joker, if you just want to shout out the title of a movie each that stood out to you on this list, positively or negatively, but just shout something out. Matt?
The Book of Clarence. Amazing movie.
All right.
You're not mad.
That's fine. It's fine. Matt's reading. JPO, any other film you want to shout out real quick?
Yeah, no, shout out to Run in the Dark, very unique animated kids film written by Charlie Kaufman. You can tell it's written with a different mindset. I liked it.
Absolutely. Tato?
Ride or Die, only one I've seen. Very solid entry into the franchise. Good.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Roughly 8 year too.
And Matt.
Yeah, Bad Boys was fun, and then the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Yeah. I enjoyed that too. It's good.
By the way, you can watch Megapolis. You can buy the Germany Blu-ray for $20 or the UK Blu-ray for $40. So you just got to buy the import DVD or Blu-ray.
All proceeds goes
you have to buy a player that can play that region disc, though.
All the proceeds.
You said you got to get a region-free player.
All right,
but it's doable.
All right, we'll move on to the second half of. We'll move on to the second half here of the 8 out of 10s. As we'll bring up, we have Beetlejuice, The Fall Guys, Fitting In the Land of Sinners and Saints, National Anthem, Nickel Boys, We Live in Time, and You're a Monster. JPO,
Fall
anyone
Guys?
stand out to you?
Fall Guys?
The Fall Guy.
Oh, is it Guy?
Yeah, it's just Guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just Ryan Gosling. No one else is falling.
Not Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Gosling. My bad.
All right. Fall Guy.
Yep. He's a guy.
I was making sure there was another movie I didn't hear because your last list had 2 movies I'd never even heard of. Okay, sorry. Let me look here. I'm a softie. I really liked We Live in Time. That's pretty high for me. Garfield and My Girl, Florence Pugh. It's definitely a bit cliched in some points, but it's just when it's done so well, the performances are great. I think Garfield's really, really good here too. Of the way he falls for her, I think is very sweet and organic, and that really worked well for me. What's Fitting In?
Fitting In is a small indie film that starred Maddie Ziegler, who famously for years was just a shitty, awful fucking actress. And now she is at the very least serviceable enough that she can lead a film that is pretty good.
Is that the girl from The Fallout?
Yes, yeah, she was Jenna Ortega's star in The Fallout.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a
Yeah,
think
it's
for a moment.
specifically it's about a girl who learns that she has basically a developmental disorder related to her womb and her ability to have kids and sex normally, and it's like dealing with that reality as a teenager.
Huh.
I've seen this flyer or poster. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it had a theatrical release. It had like a proper.
Oh.
All right. Anybody else will have one they want to jump in on? Tato, I think any of these stand out to you?
Yeah, I'll go quick on two. Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is 5 movies, none of which is Beetlejuice Goes Tropical. So that sucks. And then Nickel Boys I thoroughly enjoyed, but like basically all of the Oscar contenders this year was just like a really good movie with like excellent cinematography, but didn't connect with me like just on an extra good level. So they're all just like really, really good movies. That's every Oscar contender for me this year fell into that same boat, and Nickel Boys did the same kind of. It did stand above like Conclave and Brutalist for me though. I have Nickel Boys at the top of the list with Honora in that same pile.
Interesting.
So.
As we'll talk about in a sec, those were both near the bottom for me, so that's interesting. But yeah, no, I get it. Nickel Boys would have been, of the 9 ranked, it would be second to last for me. I think as a writer and a director, I think Ramel Ross has a real strong future. To me, the first-person POV came off as gimmicky. I think it worked at certain points. I think there are certain points where it made the film worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, it didn't 100% click for me. But that said, to shout out a friend of the channel, if you go over to Bite Size Breakdown, Amaru Moses, who's been on our channel before, of course, movie Battleground champion, his team over there did like in-depth 30-40 minute reviews of each Best Picture nominee. And the Nickel Boys one was one of the most interesting ones to listen to because they genuinely had people who were across the board in terms of opinions. So there's a real discussion over what works and what doesn't in the film and why it may or may not have worked. So I'd recommend that to anyone who may have felt somewhere in the middle on it, because I thought they had a great discussion on it. With that said, Matt, I'll turn to you. Any other one you want to comment on?
Yeah, the Fall Guys. That should have done a lot. That should have done a lot better at the box office. That really did disappoint me. I don't know if it's just the marketing didn't work for people, but that was a really fun movie. Really enjoyed it. You know, Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt were just great together on screen. Ryan Gosling's just look, he occasionally puts out a performance that's like Oscar nomination worthy, but he's just a fun guy. He just seems like one of the guys that you just hang out with, you know, and talk about whatever. Like he seems like a really cool dude, and I'm glad that he's getting more and more success, and more and more people are liking him too. I think Barbie, you know, I think started to get people to realize, oh yeah, this guy's really funny. You know, they didn't realize it with Crazy Stupid Love. Now they realized it with that.
The nice guy that people should check.
The Nice Guy was another one. Which, okay, Ryan Gosling. I know he watches the show. He's the one person currently watching right now. Ryan Gosling, don't be in a movie with guy or guys in the title, because it just doesn't do well at the box office for whatever reason.
But they're both really good movies. So do it. Let's just not expect a sequel.
Yeah, it's like they do well, but they're gonna or they won't do well box office wise, but they'll be really good.
Correct me if I'm wrong, for Fall Guy, did they already announce like at the beginning that it was just going to be on Peacock not too long after? Because like I feel like it dropped super quick. So yeah, that's gonna. I always feel that's gonna cut your legs out. If I'm like, even for me, I'm sorry if I can leave my, not wear pants and watch it. I'll wait 2 weeks.
I saw the twice in theater, and like,
yeah, I still will go to the theater to see it just because it gives me an excuse to see a couple movies in a row. And that's what I did with it. But yeah, it's a shame that not.
It's also too for that budget was just too big, because it's not like it made nothing. Yeah. It made, I think, close to 100, but like that budget was just way too big. Like they really needed to like fucking kill it to have a sequel.
Just he's going to be in a Star Wars movie. Sean Levy, he watched the show too. Don't put guy in the title. Star Wars, like
Star Guys.
the Jedi guy, a Star Wars story. Don't add
It's
guy
gonna
in
it's
the
gonna do
title,
bad.
and it will do well.
Solo Guy. I don't know.
Or don't name him Guy either, because that won't work.
Um,
All right, and then Chris, wrap it up for us.
I'm trying to give a quick shout. Anybody who thinks Liam Neeson can make good movie, go watch Atlanta Saints. And it's a really good small Liam Neeson movie with him and Karen Hine. Like it's well done. Carrie, I believe Carrie Coon that played the villain. It's fantastic in it. Really well done movie. I will say more on it. You haven't seen it, but it's really good. Liam Neeson movie.
Let me find it. It's Carrie Condon.
Carrie Con, really freaking good.
The Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah.
And also a great performance for anyone who's a Game of Thrones fans out there. Jack Gleason, who was the child you all hated excessively for a number of years. He gives a really good, like, psychotic performance in the movie.
Someone say Pigeonhole?
Jackie Gleason, the Honeymooners guy?
No, Donald Gleason.
Donald Sutherland?
Wait,
Kiefer?
can you say who it was again, Aaron?
The actual actor's name is Jack Gleason.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I looked up
Wow,
Jackie
to the moon.
Gleason, and I was like, well, Jackie Gleason died in 1987, so I don't know how.
Yeah.
They ain't home them.
I was like, I don't know.
They won't do him.
Well, he's dead, so. Speaking of Bill Gates.
All
Bill
right.
Gates
Well,
died?
we'll go ahead.
No, Bill Gates did not die.
No, Matt's
Oh,
just wishing.
okay.
It was when he talked about Jeffrey Epstein.
All right, but we'll move on
That
to the
guy.
next set of films here. We're moving on to, so for me, like on my scale, anything that is an 8 out of 10 is like I would definitely recommend, but the great films within a year for me are an 8.5 and above. And to those of you pretentious fucks out there who are going, there's a lot of films that you gave that score to. Yeah, because there's more good movies than bad movies. Like, as someone who effectively goes out of my way
Chris,
to
I'm
watch
sorry.
bad movies, there are more good films in the world than bad. Stop being so miserable, you Star Wars grifters.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Dan, Skip Allen, not to name names.
I got no beef with you, Dan.
I don't either. I love you, Dan.
All right, so the first half with an 8.5 out of 10, we have The Imaginary, Kneecap, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, Woman of the Hour, and Young Woman in the Sea.
Yes.
Can I go first? I gotta use the bathroom.
Sure, go ahead.
First, I thought you were thinking of that other imaginary film that really sucked, the horror one. I was like, "What the fuck?"
No.
But okay, no. I corrected myself here. No, I'll give to Woman of the Hour, directorial debut of, again. I said this previously. She shall be mine. Oh yes, she shall be mine. Anna Kendrick. Again, if you put it out there, it's gonna be true. Is what I heard. So no, I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a good slow build, a good back and forth. Unique tale too that's based on a true story, and definitely look forward to more. One, I think in front of the camera she's great. So for Lions, this, and then behind the camera too. So
Yeah, absolutely. All right, go ahead and go pee, buddy.
I'll be right back.
Chris, I'll go over to you next. Which one you want to jump into?
I'm happy I'm not the only one who's seen this movie. Young Women in the Sea.
Yes.
I feel like the only person in this church that's seen it. I fucking love this movie. David Ridley, anybody who doubts her acting ability, go watch this movie. She's fantastic. And Stevie Grant is fantastic, and it really is scene stealer in the movie. Like, watch that, then go watch Adolescent. You want to see a lot of good acting from him. It's a great biopic. I remember watching this for me and a woman and her child, and we both were really amazed. We gave a huge applause at the end. Like, you really see feel good biopic about something you don't really know of. And it's funny, it uplifted the family stuff. It's fantastic. You really feel for her sister and the dad and mom. Like the funny moment, the uplifting moment. And you get emotional at the end. This is one of the best biopics nobody's seen this past couple years. This and another shout out, Kneecap, another one. Like, two biopics I recommend to people from last year.
Yeah, both very good. Kneecap just missing out on an international feature nom, so definitely worthy of that title if it had gotten it. Yeah, the one that I'll shout out personally, just because it's the one I imagine the least amount of people have seen, is The Imaginary, which, yes, is not the very shitty horror film, which, again, go to the worst films of the year list if you want to hear Austin Howell absolutely tear a new one into that movie. I did not waste my time watching it because I will not give Jeff Fowler the time of day anymore. He's
That's
a
a
fucking
fun
awful
movie.
director, and I don't care if he knows it. But The Imaginary, which is a different film, is an animated film from a Japanese company called Studio Ponok. Sorry if I mispronounced that. And they are basically a direct spin-off of Studio Ghibli. It's basically a bunch of junior animators that worked at Studio Ghibli when Ghibli originally shut down back in 2013, went and started their own studio, Ponok. And this is I believe it's their second full-length feature that they've made since they opened the studio. And it is excellent. It's basically the premise of If. Like, I don't even have to spoil anything about the film. If you saw or heard of If, it's almost the exact same premise, but done well. And I liked If, but that movie had problems. This is done really, really well comparatively. Also, if you decide to go watch the English dub over the Japanese one, there's some fun voices in there that you'll recognize. Haley Atwell's in it, Cal Penn's in it. For Ted Lasso fans, Jeremy Swift is in it, LeVar Burton, and for all my Sonic fans out there, Roger Craig Smith has a small role in it as well. So gives a good voice cast behind it. So I'd recommend that one. Matt, any films on this list any film you want to shout out?
Yeah, I mean, I liked Wallace and Gromit quite a bit too. It's a fun, just nice, fun movie. You know, Anna Kendrick. You know, I think with Woman of the Hour proved, you know, she's going to be a really good director. Whenever she directs in the future, I don't know if she has plans to do another movie anytime soon, but I think she has shown that she can be a really good director. And in Kneecap, I watched that during Sundance, and I think what really impressed me about the movie is the actual guys in the band play themselves in the movie,
And
they're really good too. And you know, like I get it, like they know how to be themselves, but it's, you know, it takes a little bit more than that to give a really good performance. And they all showed they're very capable actors. I don't think they're like, you know, some of the best working today, but they've shown that, hey, they can crank out a good performance if they want to. And then you got a little Michael Fassbender cameo in there too.
My favorite subplot of that movie, the stuff where him and the police cat and daughter, that whole craziness.
Yeah. And then the guy, I'm surprised he played himself in the movie too, that always wears the mask.
Yeah.
Didn't have the mask on in the movie for a while. Unless that's not actually him. But like
That's
he wears
true.
the mask.
I don't think the mask thing is a concern anymore. I think at this point it's just performance.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but it's not like, you know, he wears a mask because he's scared. But no, it's like he wears the mask and you don't really see him in public. Even when they're doing a Q&A at Sundance, you know, they had all of them come up and, you know, are talking. The guy has the mask on, or the ski mask or whatever, has that on during the whole thing too. So it's like, huh. I think that's just his thing when he's out in public. He does that. It's his whole character or whatever he plays into for the band. But yeah, that was really good. And it should have been nominated for Best International Feature.
Over
1,000%. But yeah, really dug that. And then the Imaginary. I want to, you know, defend Imaginary, the bad one, for a minute. It's not a good movie, but when they go,
we're moving on.
They go into the world. The like imaginary world or whatever towards the end. That's fun. I want to give it some credit. That whole scene when they go into
Imaginary.
He's talking about the live. Tato, do you see any films on this list, or you want to go to the next?
We're good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're up next on this next one because you said you watched Oscar films, so you've seen at least two of these. Rounding out the 8.5s, I have Honora, Boy Kills World, Sometimes I Think About Dying, and The Substance. Now, I want to address something here real quick, because if you watched the best video, Honora was on my best list when we recorded that video. but I recorded it probably about 10 days or so before it aired. And in that time, I saw Anora a second time, and it actually dropped out of my top 20 of the year. I liked Anora a lot. I think it is a very clear, worthy Best Picture winner. But for me, that second act goes on for way too long. And it's not an issue of like each individual set piece like being a problem. It's that each scene itself, I think, just rides for too long. While I'm happy Sean Baker made history, because he's a great filmmaker and he is worthy of making history with 4 Oscars, I wouldn't have given him the editing Oscar personally, because I think he could have trimmed a bit more. I think the pacing of the film is the thing that actually hurts it the most for me. That's it. Still well executed in a lot of areas, so certainly not going to say he wasn't worthy, but he wouldn't have been my pick. So yeah, I think Anora is still very good, and I'm glad it won Best Picture, and I think certainly she was really worthy of winning that actress Oscar. And yes, I would have given it to her over Demi, but I like the film less. So if you did watch that video, which by the way, thank you to everyone who did watch it. I wanted to experiment by not promoting any of the videos on the Facebook page, and the views were as consistent as they've been, if not a little higher for 1 or 2 of them. So I appreciate everybody who tuned in and actually watched, even without the promotion. I appreciated that. But yeah, Anora's dropped off my best list for me. I still think it's good, but very good, but not quite best of the year for me. Tato, I'll turn it over to you then.
Yep, I ended up not catching the substance, as it were, either. So Anora is the only one here I've seen. I will rap about it real quick, and just the Oscars in general, because like I mentioned, Anora ended up in the bottom of that clump that is Nickel Boy's Brutalist Conclave, Anora. But they're all very, like, it's a very tight, like, tier. All of them ended up being kind of the same movie to me, in that they're gorgeous to look at, and they're fun, fucked up stories. Like, fun, not the word to describe the stories, I would say, but like they're unique, like, stories that deserve to be told and fucked up in their own ways and shit. And then as far as I have A Complete Unknown above them, and then I also have Wicked and Dune. I don't think Wicked and Dune ever really had a shot, but I like them a little more with the IP and stuff. Like, they're already familiar movies to me, and they're a little more bombastic and out there and blockbustery than less artsy and shit. So I like them a little more. And Bob Dylan's a cat. I dig Minnesota Brother and shit. Chalamet is fantastic in it. Ed Norton's fantastic in it. And then so I got a little more out of that movie than I did out of that clump of 4 Art House ones. But Anora is still very good. It is because I have not seen a ton of movies towards the bottom half of my list, actually. Just again by virtue of I didn't see a ton of movies, and that whole clump kind of they're all 4-star movies, and that's just goes to show there are more good movies than bad movies. So out of all, like, the only 2 movies that I watched this year that I didn't really like were kind of Madam Web and Joker Fully Ado, and I think enough's been said there. But yeah, Anora, really fantastic. You've said a lot about it. The performances are all really good. Yura Borisov is quite excellent. I hope to see him in more things as kind of that, like, guy type character. He's not like fucking Tom Cruise or whatever. I'm losing track here. Anora was good. Sorry.
You're good. Anyone else, guys? Any other film on this list you want to comment on?
I mean,
I guess.
fun.
All right, I'll jump to Matt first. Go ahead.
Yeah, Boy Kills World is fun. I completely forgot sometimes I Think About Dying came out last year, because I saw it in 2023 during Sundance. So, and it got bought, and it's like, okay, it's coming out in August of that year. I completely forgot it even came out in 24. It's good. You definitely like it a lot more than me. Like, I think it's a solid movie. Daisy Ridley, she gives a really good performance in that movie. But yeah, I think we're on the opposite sides there. Like, it's a solid movie, but it's a little too slow. It didn't really do anything for me outside of maybe her performance. And then the guy she was with is, he's pretty good in the movie too. And then that party or whatever, the cosplay thing where they're like reenacting. It's been a little bit, so I'm like trying to remember. There's a scene they go to that party. It's like they're playing a game or whatever, murder mystery thing.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was a fun little thing. Like I enjoyed that scene, but yeah, I mean it was just there for me. Like it's not bad. It's good, but it's not something I really feel like going back and watching anytime soon.
Fair enough, Chris. What film do you want to talk about?
I mean, I guess it's kind of about the substance every time. I know a lot. I love this movie. I think it haunting look at what happened when an actress gets thrown away. I think it kind of goes to say a lot about what fucked up with Hollywood today. I think Demi Moore is phenomenal in the movie. I think Margaret Qualley should have got nominations for this. Kind of the same scenario when you have Cynthia Ariana, you can't have one without the other. You can't have Demi Moore without Margaret Qualley in the Wood conversation. They both give an equal amazing performance. I don't want to about Jenny Creed, but the ending is effective. The makeup is phenomenal. It was easily in my top 10 of the years. They were Noah a little bit high on it. Noah number 6, I think Substance number 9, but still equally a really good year for a horror movie. Substance was amazing.
And then JPO.
Matt was like Bill Gates eating you. Watch out, dude.
Yeah. See, no.
Yeah, no, not much more to add about the ones I have seen. Yeah, Substance was really fun. I got to it kind of late. I got to it in the last month or two. Nora, I really loved. This is in my top 10. I think it's a very worthy performance winner as well. I thought it was definitely more layered than to me, unfortunately. So I'm not surprised it went that way. And shout out to Boy Kills World too. I don't know if this is true, but they had I don't know if they had Skarsgård originally doing the voiceover, but if it wasn't always H. John Benjamin, good swerve because I love that kind of contrast, and I could listen to that dude all day.
And I can confirm that is true. Yes, originally there was a cut of the film with Skarsgård doing the voice, and then they switched it.
No, I think that's the smartest thing they could have done.
All right, so then we'll move on to the end of the video here. We have I guess you would say, the best films I saw this year that did not actually make the best list. But with that said, we'll go ahead with A Complete Unknown, Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm Still Here, Juror Number 2, Thelma, and Twisters. Again, anyone wondering what great film you may not have heard of or what horrific piece of shit we didn't talk about, there are 4 videos covering the best and worst of 2024. My opinions as well as my respective guests in those episodes' opinions are there. So you can check that out. If it wasn't brought up across the fucking 6+ hours of content that exists on this topic, I didn't see it. Simple as that. With that said, does anyone have any comments on anything here? Matt, I'll start with you.
First off, did you see the movie called A Man Who Stares at a Grain of Grass?
No.
It's a Norwegian small little movie. It was part of the Sundance Next selection, so I didn't know if you watched that or not. It came out last year. But no, I mean, these are all really good movies. The only one I haven't seen is I'm Still Here. I haven't seen that yet because it never came out anywhere around me. So I'm not going to drive 7 hours to go see a movie. But no, I'm glad to see Thelma is on here. I really dug Thelma. I thought that was a lot of fun. Believe it was June Squibb's first leading role too.
It was, yes.
And she's great in the movie. It's a lot of fun. It's just about it's about a girl, an old lady who's money gets stolen because she falls for those scammers that call them and say, hey, your identity, it's stolen. Pay us money and we'll give it back to you. That whole ordeal. And then she goes after the people to get her money back. But no, that was a lot of fun. And then Juror Number 2 should have gotten a wide release in theaters. The fact that Warner Brothers decided, this is the movie we're not going to push as much when it comes to the Oscars, but we're going to push Joker instead. And it's a little weird. I mean, look, Juror Number 2 is not a big budget movie, so They could have put a little more money
And
into like
expectation for that
marketing, and
movie.
they could have released in theaters because people would have went to go see this movie too, because it's a legit great movie.
Yeah.
So that really bugged me.
Amazing year for Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, I mean, he was so good. He was great.
All right, go ahead, Chris. What are your thoughts? Final thoughts on any of these films?
I give a shout out to I'm Still Here. This was one I relate to the party off. I did see it when it finally came out to my theater. I thought it was a powerful movie. My only knock against the film, I think the ending go on a little bit too long at the end. Like there's just so many. It keeps going and going that lose affecting it. I do love the cameo. I won't spoil it. At the end. But Fernanda Torres would have been my pick for best actress. I think she's the more quieted performance in the movie out of the category, but to get the more effective, like that prison cell sequence. As I watch her reaction, like when they keep opening the door, she saying her name over and over again. Just watch it decaying there, like, she's waiting to finally be released. Like, a shocking true story. This is an amazing movie. I was so happy won Best Foreign Film over the other one that should not be named. Yeah, I think I got a 10 out of 10 for me on my Letterboxd.
From penis to vagina.
All right. JPO, Tato, I don't think either of you guys have gone yet. Any final thoughts on these films?
Tato.
Deadpool and I threw out my complete unknown already. Those performances are great, and the movie is really solid. Deadpool and Wolverine is my second favorite movie of the year, as it is wont to be in the MCU, which is as much in my wheelhouse as Kevin Smith, probably slightly less, but very still important franchise for me. And the movie was about everything you could have wanted. I did miss some of those characters, Blind Al and Dopeender and stuff like that. Like, could have dealt with more of those, but obviously with the story they had to tell, there's not really room for those cats, unfortunately. All the cameos are dope. I think what's been said about that movie has been said, so good stuff.
All right, then JPO, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, to go off of Deadpool Wolverine, there's a 5 and below poster still kind of hanging on, a little ripped. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun here. I know what Tato's saying. It kind of reminded me of the third Ant-Man, where like one of my only problems is that like I feel bad that we lost all our side characters in order to tell this tale. That's what sucks about having, like only select movies to tell these big tales. But still a lot of fun having those two back. And then I also wanted to. Now Matt stole my thunder. I totally wanted to champion Thelma. I loved this film here. I was really hoping Squid would get some love. I think Richard Roundtree too, very undersung this year. Unfortunately, I found out afterwards that he had passed away after I saw the film, because I was like, yeah, I can't wait for him to do some. Oh shit! But I thought it was great. I thought it was a really lovely tale. It was in my top 10. I love Thelma to pieces.
Yeah, Thelma was great, man. That was I saw that one at the Florida Film Festival, and that was a great experience. That was probably the most lively theater I was in at the film festival. Like, you could tell it was a room full of people who had probably spent the last few days watching like stuffy, more dramatic or more like indie art house films, and with this they were just getting a fun ride. But also, like, an element of the film that I think kind of goes under discussed is that like the action scenes, if you can call them that, are attempting to parody Mission Impossible if an old person tried to do it. And I think they actually kind of pull that off really well. Like, they make like rolling over a bed seem about as dangerous as you possibly can given her age. And I just have to say in general, like, also with her bid at the Oscars, good on June Squibb for just having a sense of humor, man. Like, she is just this sweet old lady.
She's a cool chick.
She's having a moment, and she's, I mean, every bit of it, man. Her cameo in Inside Out 2 was also great. It's like, yeah, she's having a moment, man, at 90-something years old now, and good on her, man. She's enjoying every second of it.
Oh yeah, that final scene, that little twist where she's with McDowell, where you think she's losing it, but no, she still has it. It's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, and she sells it. Truly, she sells it as an actress.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, because I at least believe the first part, and then the twist on it, so good.
Mhm.
All right. Well, guys, if that's all the thoughts we have on these films, before we wrap up, I want to throw out to you guys, are there any other films that weren't mentioned here at all tonight that you would like to shout out? I'm going to take a second. I'm not going to go too deep into them because, again, they were on my best list. So if you haven't seen them already, you can go watch that for like my more full thoughts on them. But I would say if I look at my actual best list, I think the 5 most underseen, so to speak, or underrated films of the year that were on that list, Red Rooms, The Seed of the Sacred Fig, Better Man, The Order, and Los Freakies are 5 films that all made my best films of the year list. Look them up just based on the title. If they interest you, check them out because they're all really, really quality films that just didn't get enough attention or love throughout the year. I also would say Ghostlight, which was my number 2, but I feel like every publication put Ghostlight down as one of the most underrated films of the year. So retroactively, a lot of people have talked about it. So those are 5 other films that I think you can go give some love and attention to. Briefly, do you guys have any one last film you want to mention that was not brought up tonight at any point? I'll start with Tato.
I did say Incoming earlier, but I'll expand on it. I do actually have it above the 4:30 movie, so for me to do that in terms of like both kind of the same coming of age comedy and stuff, yeah. So shout that one out. I imagine most people will like it more than 4:30 movie. If I did.
Weirdly enough, I think I have 4:30 higher.
That is wild.
Yeah.
All right, JPO, anyone last film you want to shout out here?
I'd like to throw a couple out there. Sweet Dreams, I thought it was really good. Johnny Depp's kind of a struggling alcoholic. A lot of great side performances from some comedians. Theo Vaughn, Jay Moore, Bobby Lee pop up as well. And then I also really kind of undersung, underseen Ezra. Bobby Cannavale has a kid who's kind of on the spectrum here, and is trying to look out after him. And maybe he's making some wrong decisions, but he's a dad that really cares. He's got his own problem with his dad and Robert De Niro. I just thought it was actually, again, really handled pretty well and really kind of undersung and underseen.
All right, Chris?
And it has to have Bobby Cannavale.
Bobby Cannavale.
Yeah, I have 2. I have You Hurt My Feeling, the Julia Louis-Dreyfus movie. Not a lot of people think that really freaking good. And then the one that my number 1 again, not a lot of people know of. And it was on the international film list. The Count of Monte Cristo, the French version of it. It's freaking awesome. It's probably my favorite version of it so far. The acting, fantastic. The stuff they added, fantastic. It's 2.5 hours, but it flies by. Invested the story, like they do add more depth to the character. The action sequence are fantastic. Like, I do recommend it. Definitely one of the best international films from last year.
All right, and then Matt, any final thoughts to wrap us up?
Yeah, I have a few, and I hopped in late, so I don't know if any of these were talked about earlier. But Dee Dee is one really good coming of age movie. You can watch it on Peacock, I believe. Highly recommend that. I know I mentioned Kieran Culkin, but A Real Pain I thought was great. A really small movie I don't think anybody really has heard of, Wicked. I thought that one was really good. Heretic. I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you have one of the best performances out of Hugh Grant's career. Maybe his best performance. He's so good in that movie. And Strange Darling as well is another one that's really good. Along with Humanist Vampire Seeking Counseling Suicidal Person. That one it's not great, but it's an enjoyable movie that I think you guys can enjoy. And did you mention Hitman earlier?
A number of the ones you mentioned were on my best list. So
okay, Hitman is another one too. So should have got a theatrical release. I think it was Neon that wanted to buy it, but Netflix outbid them. and it makes me really
Yeah,
upset.
and I will say, I saw Hitman in a theater, so I know Netflix did put it in theaters, but it was the
Not
bare
for me.
minimum. It was
For-
the bare minimum.
Yeah, I might just like go to my local theater, pay them money to like reserve a theater and a time for me so I can watch Hitman in theaters, because that should have been in theaters, like nationwide, because it's great.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for today's episode. Thank you to everyone who watched live. Thank you to everyone who tunes in after the fact. I will go back through at some point and make sure to timestamp it. So if you are watching this later and you want to jump, if you're watching this live, I should say, and you want to go back and watch another segment you missed, there will be timestamps at a later point. So go ahead and do that. But with that said, on behalf of everyone, thank you again for joining. We're going to be talking about last year's films one more time because last year, for the first time on the channel, I did a TMG Oscars, so to speak, where, you know, I brought some people on a panel and we sort of gave out our own awards and put our own nominees together for categories. And I would like to do that again this year. I realize I missed the Oscars, but fuck you, I don't care. So we're going to do that next week. And then the week after, we're going to do what we used to do on Casual and do monthly recaps. But no one cares about the start of the year. So we're going to do a 3-month recap and go back over some of the theatrical highlights that released for the start of the year as we head into the soon-to-be summer movie season here in 2025. It's insane that we're already there. I want to say thank you to our panelists, Mr. Alan Shepard, JPO, and Chris Diaz, my co-hosts here, Matt Beer and Jake Tato. And with that said, we will see you all on the next one. Take care.